Hey guys. This is the part 7 for What If Naruto Was a Businessman and the Owner of a Company. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 9. Team 7 continued in their walking back to their village. The trip had been a slight 3-day period since there wasn't much to talk about. Sasuke just kept to himself, and Sakura was busy thinking about some things that had been on her mind lately. Naruto and Kakashi were both reading, one smut and the other literature, as the trio kept trudging along the dirt path with the sounds of scurrying footsteps telling them all that Naruto's 3 foxes were right behind them. Known to Naruto, he was being observed by Kakashi, though the Jonin had made an attempt at a good job to keep his eyes in his book while looking at Naruto at the same time. Something bothered him with Naruto, and it wasn't that he wasn't a good student, but the fact that he was too good a student. When Kakashi had talked with the Sandaime about him the last time, he stood to reason that Sarutobi had an Anbu or something guarding Naruto if he was in the Forest of Death, but the aged Hokage had no such thing. He told Kakashi that he had allowed Naruto to live in the forest, and the blonde had survived. It was one of Konoha's top training grounds. Kakashi was sure that even Sasuke would have a rough time in there for just a week. How long had it been for Naruto? Kakashi needed some answers, but he also had some things to give as well. Speaking of Naruto, even though he had his book up, the blonde was actually half reading. He had thought about Gato's recent death, and while that had sated his company and pulled him back into Waves region, there was still the competition from other companies for Gato's spot to think about. Also, Naruto having merged Exodus Metals and Gato's shipping, aka taking Gato's shipping from said man and making it Exodus shipping line, Naruto had gained a significant control over the sea and its trade routes, but a small thing with that was the fact that he, and his company, had very little in the way of ships. Naruto had a few for when there was need for short-distance travel through the waters, but for a sea as big as where Wave was then, it was getting to the point where the blonde would have to make some changes. He was sure that he could count on Tsunami to provide for that and bring in the additional cost and revenue to come between the trading routes. Maybe he'd have to make some estimates later in the future. It would prove beneficial. But Naruto also knew that just because he had taken out Gato's main company, it didn't mean that the entirety of Gato's things were his. Just like Naruto, Ayano, and Daichi, Gato had many other small business in other countries, and Naruto knew that it would be tedious to try to dismember them all, but he didn't let it bother him very much. Let the senseless men try something else. Speaking of, Naruto would also have to pay one more visit to some places before he relaxed for a bit at home. Naruto, Sakura said, her voice being the only sound the four had heard except for the walking of feet upon the dirt path. Naruto blinked himself out of his quick thinking calculations before he turned over to Sakura. What is it, Sakura? Naruto asked, and Sakura slightly shuddered at the way he said it. It got her hot for some reason. So when we get back, what else are you going to show me in shape manipulation for my Doton? During the fight I released my seals to use the best force that I could muster, but I don't think it was enough. I was just wondering if there was a chance that you could help me still. You said that I need to moderate my diet and that just fasting wasn't enough. So could you help? Sakura asked while Naruto closed his eyes to think. Sasuke took the chance to glare at the two and what they were talking about while Kakashi just looked interested. He raised an eyebrow, but somewhere in the back of his mind he was rather downtrodden that Sakura was still asking Naruto for training. The times that Kakashi had trained Sakura, then he found that she took to theory very well, but he also found that after he would say something she would ask for its application, and then the best ways to apply it to her body. Kakashi had been able to answer all her questions, but it seemed to him that she really was a special type of learner. It had been Kakashi's thoughts that Sakura was a visual and auditory learner, meaning that she was able to do things based on what she saw and heard, but he might have been wrong. While she would hear and see what Kakashi was doing, every time she was finished analyzing it, then she would immediately put it into practice. It was like she was a kinesthetic learner, one who learned by their body or by touch. If Naruto had trained Sakura before Kakashi had done it, then Kakashi could only deduce that Sakura was becoming an indiscriminating and symmetrical child. She could learn by any of the 3 styles of learning and was in the progress of mastering the kinesthetic part. Kakashi didn't know, but if he had to think of it based on Naruto's personality, then he had to say that the blonde was already like that. Kakashi snapped from his thoughts as he noticed Naruto open his eyes. Very well. However, you will be staying with me for the time and training. Go over it with your parents if need be, Naruto said, and Sakura blushed. Her and Naruto, alone at his house. No one else around to bother them? Sakura's face nearly matched her pink hair before she looked at the ground and gave a slight nod of her head. Sasuke mumbled something to himself before going back to what he was doing. So Sakura and Naruto are going to be at his house. Well, I didn't think that the 2 of you had progressed so much in your relationship. Kakashi giggled from his book. Sakura gawked before shaking her head back and forth, denying it all, while Naruto rolled his eyes. Honestly, what was wrong with this man? 3 more hours of silent walking later, Naruto and the rest of his team had entered into Konoha. Flashing their identification to the guards, Izumo and Kotetsu, at the Konoha gates, and they heard a shout. Naruto-kun! Everyone looked over as they noticed Tenten quickly coming for them. Kakashi then grimaced before he suddenly found Guy, Lee and Neji walking up to them as well. Yo Kakashi, how have you been? Just getting back from a mission? Guy asked, and Kakashi chuckled sheepishly. Yeah, Guy, that's exactly right. It seems that you're about to go out, Kakashi said, and Guy gave a grin. That's right. Another mission to showcase our flames of youth. We'll be finished with our mission in a day, ha ha ha, Guy said exuberantly while Kakashi groaned to himself. He looked over to see Tenten smiling at the blonde genin, getting Naruto to arch an eyebrow. Where have you been? I've been looking all over for you. I took your advice and I got serious about my smithing. I was hoping you could critic me again and maybe, oh I don't know, let me borrow that Fuma Shuriken, Tenten asked / begged on her knees. Sasuke huffed to himself and Sakura chuckled lightly. Tenten, get off your knees. You're embarrassing this team, Neji said with his usual stoic face. He eyed Naruto, but the blonde made no attempt to eye back merely because it was not in his interest to do so. He didn't have time for the problems of a genin that pushed his issues onto other people. Once? Just once? Tenten asked pleadingly, and Naruto watched the act, never once removing the strained line of his mouth. Sakura-san, please go out with me. I will protect you with my life, Lee said while Sakura grimaced. In a speed that surprised Lee, she quickly appeared behind Naruto. I'm not to be harsh, but you're not my type, Sakura said while Lee fell down to his knees in tears. Sakura scratched her cheek while Neji sighed and shook his head. Am I the only normal one on this team? Neji thought to himself before he groaned to himself. Quickly after Neji, Lee and Guy, dragging a struggling Tenten with them through the gates, getting confused looks from Team 7, Kakashi brought the 3 together and gave his signature eye smile. Well, now that we're back, we'll report to Hokage-sama about a job well done. No training meetings for 5 days for your hard work, Kakashi said while Sasuke gave a smirk, but Sakura didn't seem affected. She knew what she would be doing for a majority of her time. At least a good thing was coming out of this. She could brag to Ino that she got to spend all her time with a boy. Naruto didn't seem fazed by the news, but it had benefited him. Now he could work on his and Sakura's training schedule and give her a standard physical. Naruto had done it to lots of people. Men and women, well, the women were definitely uncomfortable, but Naruto only did his business. He wasn't interested in anything else, much less the thoughts of random women who had come to him in the first place. Well, with that out of the way, let's get going, Kakashi said, and everyone followed after him. Father! Naruto looked down as he noticed Rinko, Tuka and Fu looking at him curiously. What else are we going to learn? Rinko asked, and Naruto quickly picked all 3 up. We'll find something for the 3 of you. Just have patience, okay? Naruto said, and the 3 nodded happily before they spent their time looking around while Naruto and his team walked towards the Hokage mansion. It was a relatively short walk to the mansion as everyone knew the cuts and corners to take to avoid civilian traffic, and the 3 had reached there in no time. They all walked through the front, past the secretary, and went up the steps. Kakashi knocked on the door as everyone waited for their permission. Come in, They heard the elderly voice of the Sandaime as Kakashi opened the door, allowing for Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto to go through first, and then himself as he closed the door. Team 7 reporting Hokage-sama. Mission accomplished, Kakashi said, and Sarutobi nodded. He looked through them all, but he found Naruto's eyes as unchanging as usual. Hiruzen sighed slightly before shaking his head. There would be time for that later. So how was it? Sarutobi asked with a gentle smile while Sakura pouted. I think the person you had look into this mission needs to be fired. Sakura huffed out in anger and Sasuke didn't show it, but he agreed with her on that one while Kakashi's sweat dropped. Sarutobi frowned and he was sure that he wasn't going to like what he had heard as he noticed Kakashi begin the report. Everyone went in alternating turns to tell of the mission and its happening, and by the end of it Sarutobi had a very uneasy feeling resting inside of him with this team. Figures that they would be the one to stumble upon more trouble than the mission told about. How they were all still alive was something to be admired. Sarutobi really had to commend their thinking and quick actions. And then we came here and told you about the mission, Sakura said, finishing up while Sarutobi sighed. Looks like I'll have to take things much more seriously when I assign more C-rank missions to teams. Sarutobi thought to himself, taking a long, deep inhale from his pipe and then let the smoke exhale. Naruto placed his kids back into his jacket, and he knew that wouldn't protect them from the smoke, but it would at least stop from irritating their noses. Naruto never liked those who smoke. No, wait, that wasn't necessarily true if he thought about it. He just didn't like smoke habits. For him, they were the same as drinking. A useless waste of time and destruction of the body from the inside out. Truly a foolish attempt. Well, that being the case, then I congratulate you, Team 7. I never thought that Exodus would return to Wave and offer Zabuza and his associate a job. Their president must really be a wise man, Sarutobi said, and Naruto just raised an eyebrow before shrugging. This didn't have anything to do with him. Well, I will award you another A-rank mission's pay for your hard work. You're all dismissed, Sarutobi said before he noticed Naruto step forward. Hokage-sama, Naruto said, and everyone turned to the young blonde while Sarutobi looked up from his work. Yes, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked, and Naruto slightly glared down at his Hokage, but not enough for it to be considered disrespect, merely a thoughtful expression. I will be taking Sakura to my home, Naruto said, and Sarutobi raised an eyebrow. Kakashi tensed and Sakura blushed. I see. You do realize where you're taking her, correct? Sarutobi asked, and Naruto turned around to see Sakura looking at him rather meekly, but she tried her best confident smile and gave a firm nod. She will be under my care for the duration. I will make sure that she, along with myself, gets to the team meetings on time, Naruto said firmly. Sakura nodded fast after his statement before Kakashi felt that this was enough of playtime. He took a step forward and cleared his throat. Hokage-sama, if I might be so bold, then I think Naruto is taking one of my orders a little too far. I had some things to get done about 2 or 3 months ago, and I asked Naruto if he could train Sakura and Sasuke in tree waking while I did my work. Since that time he's been constantly training Sakura, but I'm afraid that I have to draw the line with letting another one of my students live in the forest of death, Kakashi said, and Sakura grimaced. Is that where Naruto lived? Not a very homey name. Kakashi does make a valid point, Naruto-kun. I allowed you to live there because you were so adamant about not being around the village. You also now know the reason for why I had approved of it so firmly. You will be in charge of her complete safety, and you will be your responsibility. Can you handle that? Sarutobi asked, and Naruto sighed, then turned around. As I have said, she will be under my care for the duration. I know the things that I am risking. Is this satisfactory? Naruto asked, and Sarutobi inwardly groaned. An enigma the blonde still was to him, and Sarutobi couldn't fault the way that Naruto's eyes showed that he had the skills to keep Sakura safe. It had surprised Sarutobi that Naruto was bringing someone to his house. Other than Anko, himself, Kakashi maybe, and the Anbu, no one else went over to Naruto's house. At least not when he was home. However, even if someone did get in, then Sarutobi found that more than several security seals had been placed over the house, which had made him wonder how Anko had gotten in that time. Yeah, he'd been spying with his crystal ball. Sue him. What would you like, Sakura-san? Sarutobi asked, and Sakura straightened up rather fast. Kakashi turned to Sakura, but Sasuke was just standing at the front entrance ready to leave, but the conversation was too interesting for him to take his hand off the door handle. He was seething in anger. The Dobe lives in the Forest of Death? One of the top training grounds for Konoha? Why the fuck does he got to stay in there while I have to take the crappy training fields with Kakashi and Sakura? Also, why does she get to go in there? I should be the one who gets to go. Sasuke snarled to himself before he heard Sakura speak. I trust Naruto-kun, Hokage-sama. I promise not to cause any trouble for him or the forest, but I will work my hardest. Naruto-kun thinks that I have finally transitioned from the academy and have made myself an appropriate genin. I would like to get better, Sakura said, and Sarutobi smiled slightly. Is this for a partner? He asked, and Sakura grew a tint of pink across her face and looked at the ground. And no, I don't think so. At first I did this because I thought if I was stronger then I'd get to partner with Sasuke-kun, but I don't know anymore. I just think that even if I get a partner that it shouldn't be for that reason that I'm training. I would like to train for myself and no one else, Sakura said rather sternly, and that tone slightly surprised Naruto as he looked back at her, allowing just a small well of respect come forward. What about Kakashi? Is he not a good teacher for you? Sarutobi asked, and Sakura turned to Kakashi. He looked at her curiously, and Sakura rubbed the back of her head. Kakashi-sensei is a great teacher. He taught me some chakra control exercises for my Doton techniques, but Naruto-kun is more in tune with my needs than Kakashi-sensei. I mean no disrespect to you, Kakashi-sensei, but I would like to stay with Naruto-kun, Sakura said, and Kakashi sighed heavily and slumped his shoulders slightly. I see. Very well, Sakura-san. You seem adamant about it, so I can let it go through. Naruto, you have permission to take her, but Sakura, you must tell this to your parents. Something tells me that they might not be happy. Especially your mother, Sarutobi said, keeping that last part to himself. Sakura just bowed thankfully while everyone else began to exit out, leaving Kakashi and Sarutobi alone. Hokage-sama, this is insane. I know that Naruto is talented. Personally, I think that the academy reports on him nearly failing were a waste. He's absolutely nothing like his grades indicated. His taijutsu isn't at its best because of his short age, but I feel like he's been trained by Guy in some regard. He's good at medical ninjutsu. He knows these ninjutsu techniques. He was intelligent enough to know that my Raikiri could course through the wires in his gloves to stop me from killing Zabuza. I don't know about his genjutsu, but I've tried multiple times, when we trained, to cast at least a C rank over him to see how he would react, but he always dispels them and looked at me with just an annoyed look on his face. We both know who he is, but this isn't like Sensei or his mother. Hokage-sama, who is Naruto? Kakashi asked, and Sarutobi sighed. Naruto is Naruto, Kakashi. You know how he's lived. The fact that he's even this capable makes me both happy and sad at the same time. You'll have to ask Naruto that himself, and that's only if he's accepting of you. Naruto-kun's indifferent. I'd like to believe that you know the reason very well, but it seems that we were just lucky that it ended the way it did, Sarutobi said while Kakashi gave a tired sigh. Fine, I suppose that would be fair, but Hokage-sama, during the mission I think the seal on the Kyuubi was lessened, Kakashi said, and the smile abruptly disappeared from Hiruzen's face as he glanced up at Kakashi's stern eyes. You think that he lost control? Sarutobi asked, and Kakashi shook his head. No, that's not even it. He had full control. Sure, he wasn't using a lot of its chakra like some of the other Jinchuriki in the other villages, but I could feel the chakra leaking off his body. However, I couldn't feel hatred from Naruto. He was just doing his job as usual. Should I continue to watch him? Kakashi asked, and Sarutobi nodded. That would be proper. At least it will be until I can have Jiraiya look at the seal, but then again I have no idea how Naruto is going to react to his presence. He hardly lets people in as it is. I can only imagine if Jiraiya just said, "Hey Gaki, pull up your shirt and let me look at your seal." That might get him sent flying. Sarutobi grimaced, and so did Kakashi before the one-eyed Jonin spun on his heel. Do you think he will take her into the dark zone? Kakashi asked, and he flinched as he felt Sarutobi's solid glare down at the paperwork. But he knew that anger was directed at his question more than anything. He is not authorized to go there. If he does, then he will be detained. I hope it doesn't come to that. Kakashi, you don't even go to the dark zone, do you? Hiruzen asked, and Kakashi rubbed his head. Not for me. It's too much work to try to figure that place out, but I could certainly last at least a good 2 weeks to a month in there if I had to, but I won't. Well, I'll be going, Kakashi said, and he closed the door, leaving a very disturbed Sandaime Hokage to his work. With Naruto. Exiting the Hokage mansion, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura quickly came out into the village. See you later, Sasuke-kun, Sakura said while Sasuke walked off with his hands in his pockets. He looked back at Sakura to see her waving before he snorted. HN. He grunted out before he quickly went on his own while leaving Sakura, much to her surprise, rather unaffected. She then turned back to Naruto and noticed him beginning to walk off. Naruto-kun, when should I meet with you at your house? Sakura asked nervously, and Naruto paused. He turned around and gave a slightly tired sigh. There are some things that I will need to get done, so be at the gate by night time. We'll begin your training 2 days after, Naruto said, and Sakura nodded with a small smile on her face as she noticed Naruto walk off. No doubt her parents were going to chew her out for this, but she made up her mind about it. She could be responsible over a boy's house if she had to. So Sakura walked off into the distance of her house to go and get packed. She felt even more nervous than before for obvious reasons, actually. Meanwhile, Naruto continued in his walking, ignoring the whispers and the slight glares sent his way. He was too busy reading his current book to care about these people. Aika Volume 2 was what it was called. Naruto didn't really care to notice, but he heard some men snicker and some women blush with gasps at what the genin was reading. Naruto already had this talk with Kurenai. He found it pointless to prove this point to everyone else. Besides, he had some places to go to. Naruto walked off through the streets before looking to his left. He sighed to himself while Rinko popped out. Father, whose shoes is this? Rinko struggled to say while Naruto looked up. This isn't just one Rinko. This is the Nara compound. I have a special order in need of a pickup here, Naruto said, and Rinko nodded while Naruto knocked on the front door. Pretty soon the door opened and Naruto noticed Shikamaru's father, Shikaku, looking at him. Of course, nearly all male Nara had that hairstyle. No way around it. Uzumaki-san, what brings you to my house? Shikaku asked curiously while Naruto rummaged through his pouch. I have a special order for the medicine that I brought from the clan. Is it ready? Naruto asked, and Shikaku groaned slightly. I really wanted to relax today. It's too bothersome, Shikaku said before he noticed Naruto looking at him professionally. Follow me then, Shikaku said, and he completely opened the door for Naruto while the blonde stepped inside. He didn't take the time to really examine the house as he just stayed near the door waiting for his order. Dear, who's at the door? Naruto heard a feminine voice, and he was sure that he heard the older Nara groan slightly. It's Naruto. He's here about his special order. I'll be in the back to get it, Shikaku said, and Naruto noticed the woman appear from out of the kitchen and look at him. Welcome, Uzumaki-san. Make yourself comfortable, she said, and Naruto folded his arms. There is no need, Yoshino-san. I am just here for my order. I do not intend to stay for very long, Naruto said, and Yoshino just raised an eyebrow. If that is what makes you comfortable. However, you should know that Shikamaru talks about you a lot, Yoshino said, and Naruto looked at some of the family photos on the furniture. He saw a smiling Yoshino taking a picture with a sleeping Shikamaru and sleeping Shikaku. She seemed to have had a good time. Is that so? Well, Nara-san is very bright. He shows application where it is needed, Naruto said while Yoshino chuckled to herself. Oh, if only that were true. But he's so lazy, just like his father, Yoshino said before she felt a pat on her shoulder. Lazy like who now? Shikaku asked before Yoshino blushed in embarrassment. Naruto just watched the scene with a critical eye. He shook his head slightly before he noticed Shikaka handing him a bag filled with 10 large jars of different medicinal ingredients ranging from herbs to sedatives to deer antlers. Yeah, that's right, deer antlers. There you go, Naruto-san. Feel like staying for a shugi game? I have nothing better to do, Shikaka said with a yawn, though behind that yawn was a very solid look towards the blonde. Naruto didn't miss it and turned around. While to him a shugi game might have merit, as it wasn't every day that Naruto could say that he tried to beat a Nara in intelligence, but now wasn't the time for that. I must decline, Shikaka-san. I am very busy and must be on my way. Another time perhaps, Naruto said as he walked back into the streets, and then quickly hopped across the rooftops, leaving Shikaka and Yoshino to watch him go. Shikamura was right. Naruto-san really does seem to be very interesting. I wonder where he got the money to pay for those. Yoshino said, slightly angry at the thought that Naruto might have stolen the money before her husband put such things to rest. Naruto's a blacksmith, so I've heard. I've seen his work for the most part, but I will say that what he's alright, I suppose. Let's go. That pillow is calling me, Shikaka said before Yoshino growled. No, the deer are calling you to go and check on them. Go do it, Yoshino ordered, and Shikaka grimaced. Bothersome. Alright, I'm going, woman, he said while Yoshino grinned triumphantly. In the meantime, Naruto went to a couple of grocery stores and pharmacies to pick up other supplies and began to carry the bags back to his house. He was satisfied to realize that he had taken only a little from Gato's bank to add to his wallet, since he didn't feel like going to the back to make a withdrawal. He would have to do that at some point, but for now this would have to serve its own purpose. Quickly landing down in front of the Forest of Death, the only between himself and the forest was the gates, Naruto hopped on the gates, and then disappeared into the darkness of the forest. He'd already left the village behind, so there was no need for that. He just had to get home, get changed, and be ready to work on some more projects, but he would have to save those for later. In about half an hour he would be in a meeting. Naruto wasn't sure why this was so, but Danzo had asked to meet with the blonde, and Naruto rarely gave reasons to refuse, and when he did give reasons they were damn good reasons. He knew Danzo was busy, and Danzo, in turn, knew that Naruto had other things that he had to do as well. Both couldn't also wait for the other to show some weak spine or anything like that in being afraid to talk. Neither of them operated that way. Both sort of completely enjoyed their feeling of respect for the other, and each other's professionalism. It was how they got things done. Naruto felt and heard the familiar sounds of the forest as he continued to hop off. This type of silence made him just at peace. Shinobi never really spent much time in the forest to actually discover the things that Naruto had discovered. In fact, they hardly stayed that long to discover anything at all. Naruto knew every last crook and cranny of his forest, all except for the dark zone. Naruto had never gone there, as he knew that particular place was still slightly out his range of his abilities. Again, he said slightly. He was sure he could be there for a few hours or so and then jet back, but he'd prefer not to chance it. At least not with his precious cargo with him, aka his kits. None of them were ready for such things, but Naruto was sure that they would be one day. They were his after all. Dropping to the ground, Naruto's eyes darted to the left and right fast as he sensed two very familiar presences. He shook his head before he walked towards his house. Father, they are, Tuka said, and Naruto patted her head. I know. Do not worry, Naruto said as he opened his door and walked through it. He then closed it and walked through his halls. The place was vacant as the weeks he had left it. Bits and pieces of dust had sort of accumulated, but that was to be expected. At least his food was still good for a long while, so it wouldn't be going bad any time soon. Flickering on a light switch, Naruto unzipped his jacket and placed his bags on the tables. Rinko, Tuka and Fu dropped to the ground, then quickly made their way over to the comfortable cot just underneath the ceiling fan as it began to blow on their fur, relaxing them while Naruto began to put his things into cabinets. What do you want, Sai Misa? Naruto asked without turning around as he felt Sai and Misa drop to the ground. The two Root Umbu glanced to each other before Sai took off his mask, and then so did Misa. Normally Root never did this just to keep their appearance of being Umbu, but Danzo had told all his forces that masks were not needed with Naruto. The blonde was too good to not see them for what they were. Greetings, Naruto-senpai. How was your mission in Wave? Sai asked, and Naruto slowly turned around. I take it Danzo was the reason that I was able to go to Wave in the first place. Why is that? Naruto asked, ignoring the senpai suffix at the end of his name, as he just chose to forego it this time. Sai slowly nodded with that same fake smile of his while Misa excused herself and sat down on the chair table. Hi, he was sure of your reasons, but Danzo-sama hypnotized one of the shinobi with our help and were able to stage an all clear for you to go. Danzo-sama merely states that it was a favor for a favor and he'd like to meet with you at your earliest convenience. Sai said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. I see. Very well. That's appropriate. Stay there, I'll be right back, Naruto said as he disappeared up the stairs with more of his bags. He has not changed at all, Misa said, still as emotionless as she could while Sai just kept standing. He is better this way. There is a reason why Danzo-sama trusts him, Sai exclaimed, and Misa just nodded to herself before they noticed Naruto quickly coming back down in a change of clothes. Him wearing some long pants, black shirt and black jacket. How did he change so fast? Let's get going then. Are the three of you staying? Naruto asked his kits. They each stirred and looked at the other. It was a surprise when Fu jumped up from the bundle and smiled. I go. Father, he said, getting raised eyebrows from Misa and Sai. They turned back to Naruto as they watched him pick up the black fox. Fu stayed on Naruto's shoulder, and Naruto noticed Sai and Misa looking at him curiously. What? Naruto asked, and Sai chuckled to himself. Naruto knew that chuckle was somewhere between real and fake. It wasn't strained, but it wasn't loose either. I was just wondering how the village would react to taking foxes, Naruto-senpai. The Inuzuka might be jealous, Sai said, and he only saw Naruto's back, noting that the blonde was heading for the door. Neither the village nor the Inuzuka are a concern as that what I do with what is in my authority. Are you coming or not? Naruto asked, and Misa quickly flew into step behind Naruto along with Sai at his side. They each closed the door, causing Rinko and Tuka to look at each other. The silence in the house, the fan blowing the wind on their fur. It was quiet. TV, Tuka said happily while Rinko gave a deadpan look. She shook her furry head before using her paws to scratch her ears slightly. Lazy, Rinko said as she dropped from the couch and went up the stairs to whoever knows where. Meanwhile, Naruto, Sai, and Misa were hopping across the trees and then landed on the front gates of the Forest of Death, then shot off to the east of the village. Danzo's root division wasn't in Konoha's structure, it was underneath it. Very underneath it. Naruto had done a favor for Danzo where he led a team of Root Umbu through one of Orochimaru's bases and destroyed nearly everything having to do with it while saving the essentials for Danzo's favor. Sai and Misa had been a part of the team that Naruto had led, and Naruto could say that they followed all his instructions to the letter. None questioned it, and just did their jobs. I take it that you read through Danzo-sama's scroll? Sai asked, and Naruto, without turning his head around or even giving a nod, just spoke. I have already. I had more than enough time to do so, Naruto had responded while Sai just nodded with a small fake smile on his face. Things have been ordinary around the village since you were on your mission, though Misa had been training hard for the day where she might try to redeem herself from her last attempt to sneak at you, Sai said. Naruto raised an eyebrow and glanced back to Misa, and he noticed that she just half a step behind him and Sai. That told Naruto that she was very disturbed about that fact. Naruto exhaled a slightly tired breath. He gave just a slight grunt before he noticed Misa resume in her usual stride. Sai-senpai, I would appreciate it if you did not divulge my business to Uzumaki-sama, Misa said while Sai shrugged his shoulders. Naruto had remembered that time. It had been a time when he first met Danzo. Misa had tried to end his life as quietly as she could, which wasn't quiet enough to keep Naruto from doing anything to Danzo, but to her dismay and embarrassment, the blonde had disabled her easily and had met with Danzo just like he had planned. Since that day, Misa had taken a habit of refining her stealth as much as she could, and then she would try that against Naruto. However, as Sai said, she was still trying to refine her stealth, saying that Naruto, as told to her by one of her teammates, had made her his bitch. That wasn't a nice thought, Well, not for her anyway. Well, in the back of her mind, that was quite a pleasant thought. A little later, Naruto, Sai, and Misa dropped to the ground in front of a lone tree. Naruto glanced back to them and they nodded while Naruto shook his head and bit his thumb. He quickly slammed it on the ground and they noticed a seal appear in front of them. The ground in front of them began to shake and the earth quickly compressed and showed a flight of steps leading downwards into the earth. Naruto walked on the steps and disappeared into the darkness with Sai and Misa right behind him. It wasn't a very long flight of stairs, thankfully, as they came to a door. Naruto effortlessly opened it and walked through while Fu gasped in awe. This was the first time that Naruto had taken either of them to meet with Danzo, so it was an easily excitable experience. The outer rim of the building was made of the standard building concrete that made up Konoha's walls, something of a first defense in a certain case. It was here that Fu could see a coop for hundreds of carrier pigeons as their cooing could be heard. He and Naruto could see a root umbu looking at him and his group before they effortlessly passed by. Naruto opened another door and Fu took a look at the inner rim. It was massive. A set of metal went along the walls and he could hear the sounds of metal clashing against each other. He looked down and noticed root umbu training individually. Some stopped to see who had come to their base and laid their eyes on Naruto. Soon all stopped what they were doing and cleared their thoughts. "Welcome, Uzumaki-sama!" they all said while Naruto blinked. That was new. He never heard that many people call him that before, and while it wasn't generally to his liking, he still didn't seem to completely mind it since he was sure that they wouldn't completely change either way. Naruto just gave a solid bow of his head before he kept walking while the root members kept training. It was a lot of walking and a lot of halls, but Naruto finally made it to Danzo's room where he noticed two more root members looking at him. "Danzo-sama has been expecting you, Uzumaki-sama," one of them said with a bow while Naruto snorted. "I have told you that formalities are unnecessary, Fu-san," Naruto said, and Fu, his fox, blinked as he looked at the teen in front of him. He was a young man with auburn-colored hair and amber eyes. He wore a short, black jacket with red straps on the shoulders like all members of Root, which most likely showed allegiance to the organization. He also wore a red short kimono under the jacket with a black sash, a pair of black gloves, dark-colored pants, and regular shinobi sandals. Fu was a Yamanaka that had showed promise to Danzo, Naruto had heard, and he had joined at a young age. Despite some of the smiles Naruto had seen him adorn, he knew that the teen in front of him was one of the most emotionless servants to Danzo. Even more so than Sai and Misa, but he was loyal, and in the end that's all that really mattered. "That might be so, Uzumaki-sama, but you are still a valued person to the organization and therefore are entitled to respect from us by Danzo-sama," said the person next to Fu. Naruto turned his head slightly and sighed. "Is that right, Torian? It's still a pointless gesture." Torian didn't move, but he did make eye contact with the blonde genin. Torian was a fairly tall and lean-built teen. He had fair skin and short, spiked dull black hair. He had the standard umbu mask over his face, but Naruto already knew what Torian looked like. After removing the mask, was a small of open area around his nose and mouth, except for the upper half of his face, which was covered by another mask. His glasses were built into the mask, obscuring his eyes as is customary for members of the Aburame clan, Naruto noted. He was also heavily clothed, seemingly another trait of the Aburame. He wore a short black jacket with red straps over the shoulders, as customary of all Root members. He also wore a high-collared, all-black outfit with a red sash around his waist and what appeared to be an apron over his pants, and carried several pouches and black gloves. He was one of the most promising that Danzo had in his little shinobi army, and Naruto knew why, but it wasn't his place to say. However, Naruto could easily say that Torian was probably the most dangerous if most weren't careful. Shaking his head of his thoughts, Naruto held his hand on the door before he met a kunai to the throat from Fu. He narrowed his eyes for a second before speaking. "We are the unseen ones who support the great tree of Konoha from the depths of the earth," Naruto said, and Fu quickly withdrew his kunai and bowed while Naruto opened the door. "We have acquired Naruto-sama, Danzo-sama," Misa said without missing a beat, and Naruto noticed the small room. A simple desk filled with books and notes. A simple fireplace with a slowly burning fire and Danzo sitting at said desk. Leave us Misa Sai, Danzo said as the two quickly left, leaving Naruto, Fu, and Danzo alone while Fu, the Umbu, closed the door and locked it. For what seemed like an eternity either said anything and Fu whimpered as he dropped to the ground. Danzo continued to write some things on his papers before abruptly stopping and looking up at his blonde associate. Naruto Uzumaki, please have a seat, Danzo said, and Naruto said nothing. He just sat down and scratched Fu's ears a little. Before we begin, I would like to thank you, Danzo Shimura-san. Misa told me that you were the one who was able to get me that mission to Wave, Naruto said while Danzo remained still. He then placed his hand together and nodded. It was bound to be a well-thought-out benefit. Though I am curious about why you had to go there, Danzo said with a narrowed eye. Naruto gave a humorless chuckle and went to speak before Fu beat him to it. Father, who is TTT this? Fu stuttered while Danzo looking down. Naruto looked down also and twitched. Fu, this is Shimura Danzo. Whenever you, Rinko, or Tuka meet him, I want you to be absolutely respectful. Okay? Naruto asked, and Fu nodded before he curled up into Naruto's lap and went to sleep. So you've taken after the Inuzuka. A fitting gesture considering how close they are with you, Danzo said while Naruto just gently petted Fu's soft black fur while the fox slept. It was more than likely a boring meeting anyway. No reason to stay awake. It's been right. I take it that the weapons I made are of proper standing? Naruto asked, and Danzo slowly took out a shiny, black kunai and held it in the air. The only light casting off it was the light from the fire, but even that made it look amazing. It has. Root is never wasteful with leftover materials, but these are fantastic works of art. You have the appreciation of Root for what you have done, Danzo said, and Naruto just nodded slightly. It was a commission, and who am I to deny someone that? However, I digress. I'll go back to your statement. I believe that you already understand the reason of why I went to go, Naruto said, and Danzo gave a light smile. Indeed, I understand very well. I was suspicious, but now I understand where all of Konoha's funding is coming from. It's the only logical choice as far as I'm concerned. So do we have your continued support? Danzo asked while Naruto snorted. You have it well in hand. It's not a bad village per se, but there are improvements that need to be made. I'm sure you can understand that, Naruto said, and Danzo agreed. Progress rarely stops, Uzumaki. It's also for that reason that the village is trying to think of whether to keep you as a shinobi or to recommend you to quit and make you living with weapons, Danzo said, and Naruto frowned. That won't happen, Naruto said, and Danzo raised an eyebrow. You seem rather sure of yourself in that matter. Might I ask why? Danzo said, and Naruto straightened up. He looked down at the shugi board that Danzo had on his desk and took a piece. It won't, because this village could never stand to make me a civilian. If they did, then by all means I would be able to leave as I wished, and no one could stop me. I don't think to believe that you all would be so adamant about losing the only Jinchuriki that you have, Naruto said while Danzo nodded slightly. Ah yes, your status. It's a very intriguing thing, I might add, Danzo said as Naruto put a piece down. Danzo did the same, and soon the both of them were into a shugi game. Is it? I suppose the narrow-minded people who know no better wouldn't find it that way, Naruto responded back. That is indeed true. We certainly wouldn't want you to leave. It's why I had swayed Sarutobi to let you live in the forest of death to be acceptable for you. So I take it that Exodus now runs Gado's shipping lines? Danzo asked, and Naruto placed another piece down while Danzo placed another. Naruto placed one after that, and so did Danzo. Neither seemed to be entirely focused on the game as much as the conversation while Naruto spoke. I would assume so. After all, the people of Wave did justify their anger and released it. They truly are a proud people. Not something to be overlooked just because they are civilians. However, I'm sure that they are getting things settled about now. I'm not sure, I am just a blacksmith after all, Naruto said, taking a look at Danzo, and he noticed Danzo slightly open his eye to look into Naruto's blue one. Yes, I suppose you are. Of course there aren't such high-quality smiths like you, Uzumaki-san, but I'm certain you already knew that. But back to your status, how far have you gotten? Danzo asked, and Naruto blinked. I've only accessed an initial burst form. I will work on drawing out more of its chakra, however I will be asking for permission, Naruto said, and he noticed Danzo twitch for about a half second before he placed his piece down. I see, and why is that such a thing to be considered? Danzo asked, and Naruto looked at the board. No one likes having their power taken from them by someone else when they can do nothing about it. While he might be a mass of chakra, he is still a being and is therefore entitled to his feelings or whatever he wants. No one can take such things away, Naruto said while Danzo gave a thoughtful expression. It is the truth. No one likes having their power taken away from them until they abuse it, and it leaves them a mess, Danzo said, and Naruto looked down at Elder's right hand. It seems that you've covered up the place where your seal was applied. Not taking a partner? Naruto asked, and Danzo looked at his hand for a second before giving his thoughts. I do not need a partner. They are a letdown in the end. I can attain all the things that I need on my own time. In the end, there is not need to have one, Danzo said while Naruto gave a light smile. I suppose, but I guess I have different viewpoints, Naruto said, and Danzo looked up. Anko Mitarashi. She is a fascinating female specimen, I'd assume. The meeting between the two of you was a chance meeting at best, and now Root has discovered that she lingers around your home naturally. Would you see her as a partner? Danzo asked, and Naruto's smile faded. I do not require a partner. However, I will not deny that I'm curious to why she does what she does. She's definitely interesting, Naruto said, and Danzo looked at the young blonde and he noticed Naruto sporting just a small smile. Whether this was intentional or accidental he wasn't sure, but he had seen it, and Danzo decided to save that for a later date. I see. Well, if you find it interesting and worth investigation, then that will be your field. However, I must ask another question. How do you feel knowing that the Yondaime placed the Kyuubi inside you? Danzo asked, and Naruto snorted. Danzo-san, don't be senseless and beat around this. You really want to ask me how do I feel in knowing that my father placed Kyuubi inside me? Naruto said, and Danzo slowly nodded. I see, so you did know. Was it Hiruzen? Danzo asked, and Naruto shook his head. Doubtful. Hokage-sama probably means well, but it's not hard to figure out. I wasn't born yesterday. Also, to answer your question, I bear no ill will to Yondaime-sama. If nothing else, then there is nothing but respect. That is all. I understand his reasons and I accept them. There is nothing that can be done about it now. Just as I bear no hatred to Kyuubi, then I bear no hatred to the Yondaime, Naruto said sternly. Danzo just nodded, and the Shugi game had been going on for a while as the two talked about different things ranging from reports to casual things. It was nearing the end of the game, so Naruto spoke. And what of the Chunin exams? Naruto asked while Danzo chuckled. They will be hosted here as per the usual. However, there seems to be talk that for the first time that the 5 nations will have candidates here. I doubt the Kage are coming, but I expect Suna, possibly Kumo, to come and watch. Such a Kage of IWA is very stubborn and Kiri is still in its civil war, Danzo said, and Naruto nodded. A waste of time it is over foolish things, but what can be done? Naruto stated, not really making it a question. So will you be joining? Danzo asked, and Naruto looked down once more. I have not made that decision yet, but just so you know, I do believe that Exodus will be coming to watch, as will the other big 2 companies, Naruto said, and Danzo nodded. Ayano-san and Daichi-san from their companies. Hopefully we can get their support as well, though I wonder who will take the reins and be at the top with those 3. Danzo said, and Naruto suddenly stood to his feet, being careful as he took Fu into his hands since he was still sleeping. It stands to be seen. Thank you for a lovely time, Danzo-san, Naruto said as he turned around and walked to the door. Danzo looked down at their finished game and chuckled to him. A draw again. Naruto opened the door before he turned his head slightly. However, if Konoha decides to try my patience even further, then I do think funding for the village itself might stop, Naruto said while Danzo looked up and glared. And what would that solve? Danzo asked, and Naruto chuckled. Nothing immediately, but I'd like to think that if I have a hand in these types of things, then it will keep my actions from being less proper. After all, you are a great commissioner. Farewell, Danzo-san, Naruto said as he closed the door. Danzo just felt his presence leave before going back to his writing of his notes, which were more strained than before. Sakura's house. No! Never! Absolutely not, Sakura! You are not spending Kami knows how long at a boy's house with no adult supervision! Mabuki shouted while Sakura continued to seal some training clothes into her scrolls. She sealed her kunai and shuriken pouches, her toothbrush, some shampoo, conditioner, basically all the essentials. She'd been doing so ever since she had come home to her father and mother, both curious about her mission, but Sakura had been so busy packing. It made them wonder what happened until she had explained it all, and this was how it all started. Ka-san, I'm only going over for training. It's not like anything is going to happen. I can behave myself, Sakura said while Mabuki frowned. I trust you, but not this boy. All men are dogs. Mabuki shouted while her husband, Kizashi Haruno, sweat dropped. Hey! He shouted and Mabuki groaned. Except for your father. You haven't even told us who this boy is, Mabuki said and Sakura sighed. I'm going over to Naruto-kun's house, Sakura said like it was no big deal. The D-MMMPHMMHM. Kizashi swiftly placed his hand over Mabuki's mouth while Sakura tilted her head to the side. The what? She asked while Kizashi chuckled. Nothing, Sakura-chan. Mabuki is just being a worried mother like she always is. Well, if it's his house then I say all means go, Kizashi said while Sakura blinked. You do? Why, you would never let me do it when I wanted to go over to Sasuke-kun's house. Sakura pouted while Kizashi chuckled. The truth was the Uchiha didn't appeal to her father, but Kizashi had met Naruto at least a few times when he was with his foster parents, and without. The blonde had the man's respect above all else. Which was why Kizashi was trying to turn his wife's view on the blonde around. Well, you'd better stop asking questions before I change my mind, Kizashi said. Sakura instantly paled and quickly threw her things together before rushing out of the house at a breakneck pace. Kizashi just smiled before Mabuki managed to get out of his grip. Kizashi, what is wrong with you? How could you let our daughter go and be with that boy Mabuki? That boy. Why do you hate him so much? Is there even a reason? Kizashi asked and Mabuki opened her mouth and then closed it. She did this several times before growling. You know what he holds, Mabuki said and Kizashi nodded. And I think that he's held himself together what with all the things you have tried to put him through. Course, I don't think it's wise to go around making the container for the Kyuubi angry by trying to beat him up. Don't you think? Kizashi asked while Mabuki huffed. What are you saying? She asked and Kizashi smiled. I'm saying that you need to stop being angry for no reason. That's not the woman I married, Kizashi said before Mabuki spun on her heel and marched up the stairs to be alone for a bit while Kizashi gave a heavy sigh. Sure, it was going to be couch central for him, but he felt that he did right. Meanwhile, Sakura, having let with her scrolls full of her things, quickly walked through the streets of Konoha before looking back at her house. What was that all about? Sakura wondered to herself before shaking her head, letting it pass her by. Well, she talked with her parents about it. Naruto never said that she needed their approval, which she would have gone anyway, but that didn't seem to be necessary. Yo, forehead. Oh, Kami, now wasn't the time for this. Sakura sighed to herself and turned around to see Ino coming for her, and she wasn't sure, but she thought she could see just a small cocky smirk on her face. But maybe she was wrong. Ino had been hoped that she was wrong too. What do you want, Ino? Sakura asked, and Ino raised an eyebrow at the lack of an insult before she noticed the scroll Sakura was carrying. Oh, just wanted to let you know that I'm trying to find Sasuke-kun and cheer for him is all, Ino said with a smug look before she noticed Sakura not paying attention and looking left then right constantly. Oh, are you listening to me, forehead? Ino asked while Sakura turned around. Sorry, what was that? Look, Ino, do you know how to find the Forest of Death? Sakura asked while Ino twitched. What kind of forest is that? Ino asked while Sakura sighed. I see, so you don't know where it is. Well, looks like I'll have to be going. Can't believe I forgot to ask Naruto-kun for instructions. Sakura grumbled to herself while Ino stood slack-jawed. Why are you looking for Naruto? Ino asked while Sakura rubbed the back of her head. Look, Ino, I don't have time for this. Go, cheer for Sasuke-kun or whatever, but I'm very busy right now, Sakura said, and Ino quickly grew a tick mark on her head. Or whatever? What the hell happened to you? Ino asked before Sakura came up to a lone female jonin. Excuse me, do you know where the Forest of Death is? Sakura asked the jonin, and the woman who had been enjoying whatever food she was eating stopped suddenly and turned around. Ho, so Genin-chan wants to go to the Forest of Death. I think my place is losing its reputation, she said, and Sakura blinked while the woman suddenly wrapped her arm around Sakura's shoulder. And what business could a little genin want to do in my forest? She asked while Sakura raised an eyebrow. Your forest? I thought Naruto-kun was the one who lived there, Sakura said, and if it wasn't for being around Naruto for like the past 3 or 4 months of their days as a team, then she would have missed the shiver that the woman had as her toothpick dropped from her mouth. What's your team? She suddenly asked before Ino pulled Sakura away from her. Hey, how about you give us your name first before you ask questions? Ino said while Sakura groaned. This was such a waste of time. Fine, my name is Anko Mitarashi, dammit. Now tell me what your team is, Anko said impatiently while Ino whispered into Sakura's ear. This lady is all types of weird, Sakura. She's probably with Naruto. I told you he was trouble, Ino said, but Sakura just shrugged it off. My team is Team 7. We're Sasuke Uchiha, Uzumaki Naruto, and myself, Sakura Haruno. Our Jonin sensei is Kakashi Hatake sensei, Sakura said like it was a big deal, which to her it really wasn't for all the life of her while the woman looked down at the ground. You guys got back from your mission? Anko asked, and Sakura nodded once again. Hi, just this afternoon, she said, and Anko then chuckled darkly while her shoulders trembled, telling Ino and Sakura to slowly back away. However, they didn't get very far before Anko grabbed Sakura. Well, let me escort you to the Gaki's place, but you'd better believe that the Forest of Death isn't a place where you brats can play. You wanna come too, Blondie? Anko asked with a smirk, and Ino quickly shook her head in a negative before Anko rushed away with Sakura right behind her. Forest of Death. Anko quickly dropped down with a smirk on her face as she landed on the gates. She heard panting and turned around to see Sakura gasping for air with a look that made her think her heart stopped. She chuckled sheepishly while Sakura gulped. Sorry about that, Anko said while Sakura just shook her head. And no, that's alright, Sakura said, wobbling to her feet while she saw the large vegetation, giant trees, and menacing gates. She gulped, and she felt her legs go weak. Naruto lived here? Who could live in a place like this and not be insane? So what's your relationship to the brat? Oh, are you his girlfriend? Anko asked, snickering and enjoying the reaction while Sakura shook her head back and forth violently. And no, of course not. I'm here for training, Sakura affirmed while Anko placed a finger to her chin. Oh, training. Well, isn't Naruto bold? Do you have a little pet collar also? Is he going to whip you? Or maybe he'll strip you down naked while you beg for. That will be enough, Mitarashi-san. I don't need you creating false assumptions about my habits. Sakura, you're early. Anko froze, and Sakura snapped out of her bad thoughts as they saw Naruto coming up to the gates just behind them holding a sleeping Fu. And Naruto-kun, Sakura said while Naruto just gave a slight wave. It's Anko-san Gaki. Why does she get her name called like she does and I don't? Anko complained while Naruto rose an eyebrow. Sakura has earned it, Naruto said while he looked to see her scroll. No doubt it was all the things that she had taken with her to be ready for her training. Naruto gave a small sigh before he jumped to the gates. Come, Sakura, Anko-san, Naruto said as he vanished into the trees. Anko grumbled something before she noticed Sakura shoot off after Naruto, hoping not to lose him. As they jumped through the trees, Sakura could hear the forest teeming with life, and she found that this wasn't so bad. Sure, she hadn't been in long, so she couldn't say much of anything about it, but it did seem like the type of place that you could survive in if you kept your sense about you. All three dropped to the ground, and Sakura gasped at Naruto's house. It wasn't as big as most of the houses she had seen in Konoha, but damn if it wasn't big for a single person. It looks like it was enough to fit a small family or so. This is your house? Sakura asked while Naruto opened the door. Please come inside, Naruto said, and Sakura nodded. Forgive the intrusion, she said as she stepped inside. She noticed how clean the floors were and even how nice everything else seemed. The shiny halls, the wooden floor, the path that led upstairs, and the halls that went to the kitchen and living room. Amazing, Sakura said while Anko snickered. I say that every time I come here. No need to be shy, Pinky. Let's go, Anko said as she pushed Sakura through the door and closed it. Sakura slowly took off her shoes and placed them at the door and walked through the house while Anko walked just a little bit ahead of her. Sakura could hear sounds coming from the living room and peered inside to see Tuka watching TV. Sakura blinked slightly before she ignored it for a time and noticed Naruto walk up the stairs. Naruto-kun, where are you going? Sakura asked, and Naruto turned around. Just be patient, Sakura. I'll be with you, Naruto said as he didn't tell her that he was going to place Fu on his bed for him to continue his sleeping. It was also where Naruto would find Rinko sleeping soundly as well. Meanwhile, Sakura did as he asked and walked outside, barefooted mind you, and quietly waited for Naruto. Anko had just decided to sit in the trees and look over what Naruto was going to be teaching her. It made her slightly laugh. Soon Naruto came out of his house and he noticed Sakura patiently waiting for him like she was told. For some reason the pink-haired girl shivered as she felt some underlying pressure in the way Naruto looked at her, examined her, made it feel like she could hide nothing from him. It unnerved her slightly, but she tried her best to ignore it. Well then, since you're here, then we won't waste your time or mine. We'll begin immediately, Naruto said, and Sakura agreed and abruptly bowed to the blonde, causing him to frown slightly. Anko raised an eyebrow and Sakura held her head up slightly. Before we do that, Naruto-kun, I would like to say that I'm sorry, Sakura said to him. Naruto narrowed his eyes slightly while Sakura clarified. I was so disrespectful to you when we met in the academy and on our team. I also insulted your kids by calling them mutts or mongrels without knowing anything, and you're helping me. I was foolish. I never got to say it after all that time. Thank you for doing this for me, Sakura said, and Naruto just looked at her for a moment. Her head lowered, her eyes full of regret, and yet filled with the hope that he would forgive her. Something about this was foreign to Naruto, forgiveness that is. Look at me, Sakura, Naruto said, and Sakura looked up to see Naruto looking at her with a small smile while he patted her shoulder. The book, The World of Promises, states, forgiveness means letting go of the past. It is never to be brought up again. You are forgiven, Naruto said while Sakura widened her eyes. She slowly nodded while Naruto turned around. Now then, let's get your work schedule started for tomorrow. Today you will be setting up in the guest rooms. Your warm-ups begin at 7, breakfast is at 8, lunch at 1, dinner at 6. Between those times you and I will be training. Is that all right? Naruto asked, and Sakura nodded firmly. Hi, Naruto-kun, Sakura said before Naruto looked back. He thought of something before shaking his head. It didn't matter in the end. Sakura stood to her feet and walked back into the house while Naruto quickly turned around. And why are you here? Naruto asked, and Anko quickly dropped to the ground from the trees. Don't tell me 3 weeks made you forget about what we were doing, Anko said, and Naruto glared at her slightly. That is right. Our talk isn't over just yet. Come with me, Naruto said as he walked off into the trees while Anko growled slightly. I'll go when I want to go, she said to herself and waited for a few seconds. Okay, now I'll go. No brat is going to tell Anko Mitarashi what to do, Anko said to herself, though the idea of being ordered around suddenly made her feel good for some reason. No, Anko, bad girl. Eki stuff for later, Anko mentally said to herself as she walked off after Naruto. The two kept walking side by side, hearing the sounds of animals in the forest. They had noticed 2 or 3 large snakes slithering past several times before they had finally stopped. First things first, I would like to apologize, Naruto said, suddenly causing Anko to stop and merely acknowledge it in the best way that she could. Huh? She asked, and Naruto looked up at the sky. No matter how much I want something known, I have no right to force you to tell me your business. I was foolish in thinking that I could. So I would like to say that I'm sorry for what I had said before. Naruto said and suddenly scratched her cheek. What are you saying? Apologizing so suddenly, Anko said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow while Anko just quickly took out a dango stick and shoved it in his face. What is this? Naruto asked and Anko growled. Peace offering, damn it. Are you going to take it or not? Anko shouted, and she had no idea why she was shouting before she noticed Naruto take the stick. Thank you, was all Naruto said as he took it from her hands. Anko just nodded while she sat on a tree branch and Naruto leaned on a tree, standing on a tree branch. You know, you're not so bad for a gaki, Anko said, and Naruto turned to her. Well, you're interesting for a foolish woman, Naruto said, and Anko snickered. Naruto couldn't help but allowed just a small smirk to appear on his face. Anko kicked her feet back and looked at the sky from an opening in the clouds and sighed. Before I say anything, just tell me one thing. Why do you want to find Orochimaru? Anko asked, and Naruto turned to her. She was no longer looking at the sky but directly at him. He could see her eyes studying his body for an answer, but he doubted that he offered her one and sighed. You will tell Hokage-sama, won't you? Naruto asked, and Anko stiffened. Was it that bad? Did he do something? Anko shook her head of those thoughts fast and decided to slowly breath to allow her the time to think. I doubt what you want with him is any worse than what I do or the old man wants. He was the old man's student after all, Anko said, but she figured that Naruto already knew that, which the blonde already did know. He closed his eyes and looked at the sky. It's not him that I particularly want, Naruto said, and Anko raised an eyebrow slightly. And just what is that supposed to mean? Clarify a little, Foxy-kun, Anko said, and Naruto rolled his eyes slightly. It's what he has that I want. Then again, if he doesn't have it, then no doubt he will have knowledge of its whereabouts. He stole something from me, something very important. I do not like having my things taken from me. Anko turned and saw Naruto give a harder glare at the sky before looking back at Anko. I will find him, and make no mistake, I will end his life if I am able. Just once, he needs to foolishly underestimate me one time, and I will bury him to a place where he will never be found again, Naruto said while Anko hardened her gaze at the blonde. Naruto didn't back down from that gaze, and Anko wasn't sure, but she felt unsettled. What is this it that you lost? Anko asked. Maybe I can get it back for you, Anko said, but she noticed Naruto ball his fists tightly. I'm afraid I can't tell you that. I do not know you enough to tell you that. Just as you have your secrets, I have mine, Naruto said, and Anko frowned indefinitely at that, but she decided not to push the issue any more than she already was. And people usually say that I'm easy to get along with, Anko said, continuing to flick her dango stick through her teeth while Naruto raised an eyebrow towards her. Anko seemed to be thinking about something, and for once, Naruto wasn't sure what it was. Well, I guess you'll have to get used to me then, Anko said, hopping to her feet. Naruto looked at her for a bit in slight confusion, while Anko grinned. Excuse me? Naruto asked. He really wished that she would make sense sometimes, but then again, most of the people he worked with would have probably said the same thing about him if he were to be honest. Sort of oxymoron if Naruto thought about it that way. I doubt I can leave you to train Pinky by yourself in this forest. So I'm going to help you with her training. She seems like an alright girlie. You gonna say I can't? Anko asked, and Naruto looked at her for a second. What was her aim? Was what she hoping to accomplish? What is that look of concern etched in her eyes that she was trying to mask but couldn't? What was the feeling that she somewhat understood what he thought? Truly interesting this woman was. Do as you wish, but what you teach her will be done under my supervision. She came to me for training, Naruto said as he jumped down. Cheeky brat, Anko said as she dropped down to the ground as well. It is what it is, Anko-san, Naruto said, and Anko couldn't help but agree as they walked back to the house where they noticed Sakura, having finished placing her clothes away and sitting cross-legged, meditating on tomorrow's training. Naruto didn't tell her to do this, but she just felt it was necessary. Next morning, it was official. Sakura knew she had made the wrong choice. Naruto was evil, a monster, a demon, a slave driver, a killer. In other words, he wasn't human. Another said Sakura. Naruto as Sakura finished her third set of 75 push-ups and sit-ups. The sweat dripped from Sakura's face as the morning dew of the forest stuck to her hands. Her heart was racing and her arms were on fire. She only took comfort in the fact that Naruto was doing them with her, but he was nowhere near her in terms of sweat. Sakura was sure that Naruto's heart was racing as well, but how could he keep this up for so long? Her warm-up consisted of 4 sets of 75 push-ups and sit-ups, 6 laps around the lake near Naruto's house, and half an hour of chakra meditation before breakfast was to get started. Yep, that was a warm-up. Good thing Sakura had taken to this routine just about 3 weeks ago, when they were still in wave, or this would have been impossible for her. After 20 more grueling minutes, Sakura finished her warm-up and stood to her feet, and so did Naruto, although he had finished his about 5 minutes before she did. Next will be your laps, Sakura. After that is your chakra meditation. Once you're finished, take a quick bath and breakfast will be served, Naruto said, and Sakura nodded. Hi, Naruto-sensei, Sakura said to him. That was sort of her own thing. While training, he was Naruto-sensei. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all other times of relaxation, he was Naruto-kun. Sort of Sakura's sign of respect for the blonde. So Sakura stood to her feet. She ran to the lake and started her running. Oh yeah, did she forget to mention that Naruto increased the gravity of her seals to 10 pounds each? Yeah, it was going to a process. Meanwhile, Naruto quickly began his own meditation before he opened his mouth. Rinko, Tuka, Fu, continue, Naruto said, and at the center of the lake was the 3 mentioned foxes huffing against each other. They had been training to fight while staying above the surface of the water. It was sort of new to them, fighting while trying to keep yourself above water. When they had fought those 2, who were their names again? Well, whatever, probably not important. When they had fought them, Rinko and Tuka relied on their fire and water combination to get them through. They hadn't actually fought a claw-to-claw battle against them. Then there was Naruto trying to teach them the henge. So many new things to learn. Hi, Tu-san, they said in unison and continued their spar while Naruto focused on his sudden interest in his sensor abilities. Or maybe he would do that after doing something else. He had allowed it to slip his mind, so now that he was clear, then he could figure it out better. Naruto opened his eyes and stood before the snarling face of Kyuubi. Your gaze is as unimpressive as usual, Naruto said, and Kyuubi growled. Fuck do you want, brat? The sight of you makes me want to puke, Kyuubi said with a low snarl. Such a thing is of little concern to me. However, I will get this out of the way right now, Naruto said, while Kyuubi didn't seem interested in listening to anything, but he was focused on Naruto's next words. Naruto closed his eyes and folded his arms suddenly before speaking. I apologize, Naruto said, and Kyuubi's ears twitched. The large fox spirit turned to Naruto and did the only thing it wanted to do. It gave a short laugh. Ha! Why are you apologizing to me? I don't need your fucking sorry or your pity. Get out of my sight, Kyuubi said, annoyed and angry. He then noticed Naruto open his eyes and stare at him, unwavering in his resolve. Kyuubi could honestly say that he saw too many men with those eyes, but to see them on a 13-year-old was sort of weird. No one likes their power taken from them when they can do nothing about it. It was an ill-considered action. My kids are one of the last things in this world I cherish before my own life. I had gotten angry too easily with you. Even now I loathe to admit it, but you did give them their benefits, which is why they are as good as they are. In the future I will attempt to speak with you more sensibly. This is what I wanted to say. I am not bothered by your hatred of me. It doesn't concern me, and it does little for our situation. I also find it to be a waste of time, but it's not up to me about how you spend your days in here. However, I will tell you this, I will be using your chakra in the future. This got a smirk from Kyuubi and a deeper frown from Naruto as he continued. But I will be the one controlling how much is pulled out. I have the measures to do so. This is satisfactory to you, isn't it? You want me to use your chakra, Naruto said, and Kyuubi didn't even bother hiding it. Like I said, your apologizes mean nothing to me, but I've heard them. You certainly are cheeky, brat. Then I'll condone all use of my chakra by you. It keeps things interesting after all. There may come a time where you will need to release it all to defeat an opponent, and I won't hesitate to take control and leave this cage. When I get out I will end your life, so you better watch yourself. Kyuubi said, and Naruto snorted. I doubt such a thing will occur, but the world is vast. I do not know what I might see. I'll keep what you've said in mind, Naruto said as he turned around. However, you will keep living when I'm long gone. Whether you hate me or not, do something for me, Naruto said, and Kyuubi growled at his back before he noticed Naruto's head turn. His eyebrow twitched as he noticed a few traces of sadness. Naruto mouthed the words to Kyuubi before he faded out. Kyuubi growled and snorted. Fuck you, brat, Kyuubi said as he closed his eyes. He covered his body with tails and went to sleep, or at least he tried to. Now he had his own thoughts that were coming into play, as well as just the tiniest, so tiny it shouldn't even be there, feeling of guilt in his being. Naruto opened his eyes as he noticed Sakura was just a few feet away and currently working on her chakra meditation. Naruto could feel her chakra flaring up and then going down multiple times. She must have finished her run while he was busy talking. Naruto looked at the alarm clock to his left and noted that he'd only been talking with Kyuubi for about 10 minutes, which meant that Sakura had another 20 minutes of practice, and so did Naruto. He spent that time going over his sensor abilities to extend that range to more than just 15 feet. He would have liked to have a range as much as the Forest of Death so he could be more alert, but that seemed to be beyond his capabilities at the moment. One step at a time. Soon both Naruto and Sakura opened their eyes when the alarm clock went off and Naruto slowly stood to his feet. He looked over to the lake and noticed Rinko, Tuka and Fu panting heavily. He decided that was enough for them. Shinobi battles weren't really long-lasting and typically ended quick, but when endurance was an issue then Naruto needed to cover that base with his kids. They were good against bandits, thieves and other ordinary people, especially since they had Sasuke's level of current reserves. But they didn't have the full experience of that, but they were maturing. It wouldn't be long before they were doing loads of things that most Nikken couldn't do. Though when Naruto thought about it they were already doing that, as Naruto wasn't sure that Kuramaru, partner to Tsuminazuka, could breathe fire or water. Alright then, Sakura, Rinko, Tuka, take your bath. Fu and I will go later, Naruto said while Fu tilted his head to the side. Why, father? I take BB baths with my SSSS sisters. Fu struggled and Naruto's eyebrow twitched. Sakura looked at the black fox and then at Naruto. That is correct, Fu, but I'm sure Sakura will appreciate it if she wasn't exposed to boys. Ignore it for a time. Come with me, Naruto said as he went into the house. Fu growled something before he noticed Rinko and took a smirk. Fu stuck his tongue out at them both before he followed his father into the house. Well, shall we go then? Sakura asked, getting Rinko and Tuka to glance to her. After Naruto, Sakura had offered all three kids her own apology to them and they took it wholeheartedly. Plus their father taught them to forgive and forget. No use letting things get to you, plus they didn't see a point in keeping such things in their heads. Yeah! Tuka yipped as she raced off while Rinko growled. No running in the house, Tuka! Rinko shouted before she ran after her little sister as well. Sakura chuckled to herself before she went into the house as well. She noticed Naruto quickly wash his hands and begin cutting the vegetables. Sakura didn't know how well Naruto could cook, but seeing him do it by himself then she was fascinated. However, she knew she had to hurry as she turned a left and entered into her guest's bathroom. She wondered who made the house, but she would have to ask later. Discarding her morning clothes and appearing into the bathroom, Sakura filled the tub with warm water and gently laid down in utter bliss. Nothing like a hot bath after a workout at a boy's house with no parents around is all it takes to make you feel brand new, Sakura said before she noticed Rinko and Tuka playing with the soap that seemed to evade them because of the wet floor. The pot boiling with hot water, Naruto placed the sliced carrots inside and then began to work on the onigiri. He fried some fish and quickly made some cups of tea. Something smells good in here. Naruto didn't have to turn around to know who it was as he sensed Anko coming through the door. It is rude not to knock, Anko-san, Naruto said while Anko grinned. Oh, don't act like you didn't know I wasn't here. So any food there for me? She asked, and Naruto grunted. You should eat at your own house, Naruto told her, and Anko just nodded sheepishly. Whatever, Gaki. So where is the other pink-haired Gaki? Passed out on the bed from you two rocking it so much? Anko asked while Naruto frowned. Unlikely, was the only thing Naruto said, and Anko pouted. We really need to work on your sense of humor, Anko said, and Naruto just looked at the pot for a few minutes. Strange, Kisa has said the same thing to me, Naruto thought to himself before dismissing it. He quickly began to step the table with the food while Anko sat down. Naruto heard the water stop running, and soon Sakura came out in a white bathrobe. Anko-sensei, you're here! Sakura said, surprised, while Anko threw the peace sign. Yo, Pinky! Already comfortable enough to wear nothing but a bathrobe around the house, huh? Sniff, they grow up so fast, Anko said while Sakura stuttered. Naruto shook his head slightly while Rinko and Tuka shook their bodies from the wetness, letting their fur puff out. Sakura smelled the food and sighed happily. Smells really good, Sakura said, sitting down just as Naruto finished setting the table. He then placed down food for the three foxes on a smaller wooden table before turning around. Come Fu, we're going to wash up now, Naruto said, and Fu yipped as he walked up the stairs with Naruto to his room. Then don't mind if I dig in, Anko said, taking her chopsticks before she grimaced as Rinko suddenly jumped on the table and placed a paw over Anko's hand. The snake mistress glanced to the crimson fox while Rinko spoke, as best she could. Eat. Together. We must www wait, she said, and jumped back down to Tuka's level. Ah man. We gotta wait. That blows, Anko said, placing her elbows on the table. Sakura snickered and scratched her cheek. Naruto-kun's house, Naruto-kun's rules, Sakura said while Anko snorted. Teacher's pet, she said to herself. It didn't take long at all for Naruto and Fu to return, as the blonde had on some new clothes and his place at the seat. He clapped his hands together while Rinko, Tuka, and Fu bowed their heads. Sakura bowed and Anko sighed, but bowed also. Itadakimasu, Naruto said, and began to eat. Sakura did also, and so did Anko. Sakura's eyes gleamed and she turned to Naruto. Naruto-kun, this is so good. Tsunami-san would be jealous of your cooking. So would Ka-san, Sakura said, and Naruto didn't seem to take visible acknowledgement of Sakura's comment, but he just gave a light smile. I'm glad you find it well, Sakura. Now then, while we eat, we will begin. First tell me the reason that you were fasting. Naruto, and Sakura scratched her cheek. I wasn't training much, so I wasn't getting leaner, so I fasted. Also, I doubted Sasuke-kun liked big-boned girls, Sakura said while Naruto closed his eyes. Fasting at your age isn't healthy or wise, Sakura. Most of the energy that you take from eating is put into your growth and brain activity. Now, diets are important as well as eating in moderation, but one of the reasons why your muscles were close to non-existent is because you don't eat enough to put much to those. Have you been fasting recently? Naruto asked, and Sakura shook her head. And no, I stopped about 2 weeks after Wave when you started telling me to eat. I had reservations, but I did eat. You always made me work it off, so I thought it was the same thing, Sakura said while Anko chuckled. Uchiha Brat's not the only guy in the world, girly. No need to mess up your body just for that, Anko said, and Sakura just gave a slow nod of her head. I'm sure that the reason why your growth isn't stunted is because your mother watches out and possibly secretly slipped you the right nutrients so you wouldn't be more skinny than you are at the moment. This will have to be corrected, so drink 2 bottles of milk each day, eat 2 fish for dinner and breakfast, and lastly eat 3 strawberries 3 hours before going to bed each night. We'll start with that, Naruto said while Sakura blinked. I might get that milk helps build strong bones, Naruto-kun, but why the fish and strawberries? Sakura asked. Anko snickered, causing Sakura to turn to her. Well, Brat, for one, the strawberries are high in antioxidants. Antioxidants play a role in keeping our cardiovascular system in tip-top shape. They are a great source of vitamin C that fucking help the immune system and actually help stress. Strawberries contain magnesium, a mineral that helps our body produce energy and maintain strong bones and healthy teeth. Because they also contain potassium, strawberries can help your muscles and nerves function properly, and lower your risk of high blood pressure. Naruto's got the right move on ya, Anko said while Sakura gasped. And the fish? Sakura asked, and Naruto spoke. Fish is low in fat and high in protein. It's one of the main substitutions for meat that people eat. Also, it is rich in iron. Not all fish is healthy, but you will learn that later, Naruto said, and Sakura nodded while the rest of the time was spent in silence. That was, until there was a knock at the door. Anko and Sakura raised an eyebrow while Naruto sighed. He stood to his feet and walked to the door while Sakura and Anko had the same look on their faces. Who else, besides them, knew that Naruto was all the way out here? Naruto opened the door, and he noticed two Anbu looking down at him. Naruto looked at them with unwavering eyes as one spoke. Uzumaki Naruto, you are to appear before the Hokage and council immediately, the Anbu said while Naruto frowned. Anko-san, take care of Sakura's taijutsu training for the afternoon. I will be away, Naruto said while Anko nodded. Sure thing, Gaki, Anko said while Sakura seemed concerned. Was Naruto in some kind of trouble? Renko, Tuka and Fu quickly stopped eating and ran over to Naruto. Father? Renko asked, and Naruto turned around. The Anbu raised their eyebrows behind their masks, but didn't say anything. As he looked at them, they looked back very concerned. You're not going to wait here, are you? Naruto asked, and they shook their heads fervently. He really was going soft. Naruto quickly picked up the three and nodded to the Anbu as he closed the door. They quickly shot off through the trees, leaving the house along with Anko and Sakura behind. It could be said that from anyone that the Anbu were rarely surprised by anything. Hell, they were the ones who were used to the surprises, so it was a welcome or unwelcome, depending on who you were asking, change that Naruto was able to keep up with them despite his short stature. Why has Hokage-sama asked for me? Naruto asked as they continued to rush off. We were not informed. We were only told to bring you to the Hokage mansion and council room. You shall be informed once we bring you there, the Anbu to the left said, causing Naruto to shake his head. He was just lucky that it was early and the sun was already in the sky. God, if they disturbed him at nighttime, help them and anyone else. Exiting the forest, the three quickly made their way towards the Hokage mansion as they entered the civilian side and ran atop the building rooftops. Not a word was said between the kids, the Anbu, or Naruto, giving the blonde the time to think. They entered through the rooftop of the Hokage mansion and went down the stairs. It wasn't a long walk at all, and the Anbu pushed open the black doors as Naruto walked through and heard talking. I'm saying that this is a waste of time. What is the point in this meeting of Uzumaki? Danzo asked while Shikaku and Inoichi sighed. Chuza shook his head and Sim grumbled something. We're just checking some things is all, Hamura said while Kohara nodded her head. Sarutobi groaned slightly while the civilian council was in a swirl of unrest. Of course it would revolve around Naruto. Once people learned of where the blonde lived and how strong he was from Kakashi's report, then they demanded answers. That's why Irika, and a female teacher named Suzume, both had notes in their hands while the Anbu spoke. We have brought Uzumaki Naruto, Hokage-sama, one of them said, and soon all bickering stopped as Naruto found himself to be the target of all eyes. Naruto turned to Irika, who gave a slight wave and smile. He gave a slight bow before looking forward while Sarutobi nodded. Dismissed, he said, and Naruto felt the Anbu close the doors behind them and vanish out of sight. Efficient as ever. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned his head forward to meet his eyes with Hokage's. Do you know why you have been called here? Sarutobi asked, and Naruto folded his arms. I was not informed, Hokage-sama. Is there a problem? Naruto asked while Sarutobi cleared his throat. Naruto, since learning of your smithing, the council has seen it fit to ask you, would you resign as a shinobi and take up smithing for the village? Sarutobi asked. He, of course, was entirely against the idea, and so was Danzo. A mind like Naruto's was not benefiting Konoha by putting him near a furnace all his life. No, Naruto said quickly, shocking multiple people. The civilians sort of scowled at his instant rejection, while Sarutobi and Danzo raised their eyebrows. Uzumaki-san, be reasonable. We admit that some of your prices are unfair to some people, but Konoha can commission you if we need to. The smithing business is just as high as the shinobi business since both feed off each other. We have heard from Danzo that he commissioned a kunai from you and he showed it to us, Kohara said while Naruto and Danzo shared a look. It was probably only one out of the hundreds or thousands that Naruto made for Root, and Naruto knew that the old Warhawk wouldn't disclose his Root division, so that was the only explanation. The craftsmanship and Unkyu sturdiness are very rare. We even tested it against the Exodus Metals weapons that are regularly made for us. They are of equal standing. If we had you, then we could cancel our contract with Exodus, and we'd be set on giving you the money for your support, Koharu said while Naruto raised an eyebrow. I was under the impression that we were still in debt to Exodus for supplying our weapons for the last 6 years. We can't cancel a contract with them until another 5 years, or they get 7 small family-owned business in the village, which they have 6 currently, Naruto said to them. Most of the council, aka civilians, gasped at Naruto's knowledge and knew he was right while Hamura smirked. There are always loopholes in a contract, Uzumaki-san, Hamura said while Danzo snarled. What were these idiots doing? They were going to get rid of the best funding for projects that they had even gotten before. To lose one of the top business in the world was absurd. It is a waste of time as I see it. You probably won't get your wishes if you go through with your idea, Naruto said, and Koharu's eyebrow twitched before she offered a semi-friendly smile. Well, you're a genin. You wouldn't understand the world of business-related topics. We'll keep this option open for another time. Hold on a minute. Everyone turned as they noticed Inoichi holding his hand up, preventing them from moving on with the issue. Shikaku and Chuza looked surprised while Tsum sighed. Shibi turned to the blonde-haired man while Inoichi cleared his throat. Naruto-san, I would like to ask if you could reconsider? First, just outright denying us is unfair, if I must give it a word. Might I ask why? Is it because of how you were treated? Inoichi asked, and Naruto unfolded his arms and dropped them to his side. The civilian sat uncomfortably while Danzo looked at Naruto with a keen eye. Sarutobi seemed to want to know as well, though his expression was just a little sorrowful. You would be correct, Inoichi-san. I do have a reason for saying no. The reason I say no is not out of spite for the village. I choose not to concern myself with such things. The reason I have said no is because I will not quit being a shinobi this early. There are things that I must do that require me to stay as such. When Hamura opened his mouth, Naruto already beat him to it. And those reasons are mine alone, Naruto said, interrupting anyone from saying anything. You try our kindness, boy, Hayashi said while Naruto turned to him. And you try my patience, Hyuga-san. Naruto returned quickly while Hayashi gave him a stern glare. There was growling in the room, and it wasn't Kuramaru, who was by Tsum's side. No, it came from Naruto. Rinko, Tuka and Fu popped out of his jacket and snarled at Hayashi. Foxes? Hamura and Koharu mumbled to themselves. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow, but didn't say anything. Damn brat. Who the hell do you think you are, talking to the council like that? Mabuki shouted while Naruto turned to her with a solid look. I mean no disrespect, Haruno-san, however I will decline your offer for now. I have made my decision. I would like it if you did not push this issue. Now you are more than welcome to commission from me, but I will get to things when I have the time. My smithing is mostly done for myself, Naruto said while Mabuki frowned. He really is an alpha with those eyes. Though if not a bit cheeky. Tsum mumbled to herself, and couldn't stop the grin from appearing on her face. Seeing that Naruto wasn't going to budge, no one had anything to say. Maybe they could commission and work something out with the blonde. Maybe he could teach some of the nearby blacksmiths to craft as well as he did with Yuzuin, but the problem was the way to get it. Naruto was the only person who knew where Yuzuin was stored, and there was absolutely no way of getting to it without Naruto. If only they could find out where he kept it, then they would be getting somewhere, but they couldn't do that now. Danzo could see the hungry look in the civilians' eyes as well as Hamura and Koharu's. He was sure that Naruto spotted it as well, but neither said anything else to comment on the issue. Alright, Naruto-kun, then on to the next issue. It's about what Kakashi told me yesterday, Sarutobi said while Naruto raised an eyebrow. Well, seeing as how this is a shinobi issue, then all civilians are to leave, Danzo said, and Sarutobi nodded. Correct, except for Mabuki Haruno, as this concerns her as well, Sarutobi said, and Mabuki kept sitting while the other civilians grumbled, but left through the door, leaving the shinobi's side, Sarutobi, his advisors, Danzo, and Mabuki along with Naruto, Irika and Suzume. Once the all-clear was given by the shinobi, Sarutobi turned to Naruto. Naruto-kun, Kakashi has told us that you are training Sakura Haruno-san. Normally we see no issue with this and I even gave my express approval of this, but it seems that we have some concerns, Sarutobi said, and Koharu abruptly stood to her feet. You are a genin Uzumaki-san. We want to know, right now, what you plan on teaching Sakura-san as well as how you know what you teach. Kakashi told us about your being able to do medical ninjutsu. How is it possible? Koharu asked while Mabuki growled. If you've hurt even a single hair on my daughter I will. That's enough, Haruno-san. Please sit down and control yourself, Danzo said, getting Mabuki to growl before sitting herself down like she was told. It also seemed that Naruto would have to remind Kakashi about appropriate things to talk about and things that the man would consider crossing the line. He'd still better be aware of the threat that Naruto made. The blonde was more than capable of backing it up. Kakashi Hatake is a capable jonin, and we're confused why a genin like Sakura-san would care more to be trained by you than by her assigned jonin, Hayashi said harshly. Especially considering how you have been before. Which is why your previous teachers are here. Suzume-san, Irika-san, please tell us about Uzumaki-san's grades during the academy, Hayashi said while Suzume walked up and pushed up her glasses slightly. Naruto Uzumaki-san was a moderate child. He had horrible grades in his studies and his application of shinobi arts. He was passable with his taijutsu style, but anything else then he was the dead last of the academy, Suzume said, glancing to Naruto, but she shivered underneath his cold, uncaring eyes. How dare you! Everyone looked down and Naruto's eyes darted down as he noticed Rinko jump down. Our father isn't a dead last. He tra ins us every day. Why you know and nothing? Rinko snarled out in Naruto's defense. The council widened their eyes and some straightened up. Koharu and Hamura stared at the crimson-colored fox and Sarutobi glanced to it. They talk? The foxes talk? Demons! Mabuki shouted before Tsume snarled. Oh, shut up, Mabuki. Trying to take after the Inuzuka pup? Tsume asked with a smile while Kuramura looked at the three foxes. It is not an intention, Naruto said, glancing to her way. It's just a necessity, Naruto said while Tsume chuckled. Naruto then knelt to Rinko and patted her head, picking her up. Rinko, thank you, however let your father handle this. This is nothing for you, Tuka and Fu to get frustrated about, Naruto said while Rinko blinked. Be but father, Rinko said while Naruto patted her head. It's alright. Naruto hushed her and Rinko whimpered. She nodded and quickly resumed her place inside Naruto's jacket. She stayed silent, and soon everything was brought under control once again. Despite the mongrel's outburst, the facts do not lie. Naruto Uzumaki is not at the appropriate level, nor maturity to attempt to be teaching anything to the top female student of the academy, Suzume said, and Naruto allowed that one to slide. The woman was ignorant. She didn't know any better, but this talk of places were of little meaning to Naruto, thinning his patience. Hokage-sama, I believe that this has gone on long enough. Please inform them right now, Naruto said, and everyone turned to Sarutobi in confusion. The Hokage took a long breath of his pipe and Sarutobi threw a document to Irika. The scarred Chunin grabbed it and opened the file. His eyes trailed along it, and he shivered. He glanced to Naruto, but Naruto didn't look back. Irika read it off, Sarutobi said, and Irika nodded. Naruto Uzumaki, given mission by Hokage-sama. Potential traitor in academy. Mission, retake academy course and find ways to bring the aggressor to light. Mission accomplished. Rank B, ordained by Hiruzen Sarutobi, Sandame Hokage of Konoha no Sato, Irika said, and Suzume widened her eyes. I don't understand, she said while Sarutobi closed his eyes. Naruto finished the academy 3 years before everyone else, but I needed him back in the academy to watch over everything. He was the only one I could rely on. Has it ever wondered to you why I have allowed him to live in the forest of death? Hiruzen asked. What are you saying? Hayashi asked, visibly angry. Tsume raised an eyebrow, and so did Shibi. Inoichi and Chusa glanced to each other while Shikaka sighed. Bothersome. You're saying that Naruto is strong enough to live in the forest of death on his own power. Genin can survive in that forest for months or years depending on their survival. Iruka-san, may I see his last report card from 3 years ago? Shikaka asked. Iruka nodded and quickly handed him the report while Shikaka looked across it. Not a single flaw anywhere as evaluated by an indiscriminate Chunin. An impressive report, Naruto-san, Shikaka said while Naruto gave a bow. You humble me, Naruto said before holding his head up. Soon a knock on the door came and Sarutobi grumbled. Come in, he said, and he noticed an Umbu make his presence known. Hokage-sama, it is currently 10 after 2. The messengers from Kumo has arrived, the Umbu said while Hayashi narrowed his eyes. Hiruzen stood up and sighed. Well, continue this later. Dismissed, Naruto-kun, I would like you to come with me, Sarutobi said, and Naruto bowed before he turned to Mabuki and suddenly bowed. I promise upon my name as a Uzumaki that no harm will come to your daughter while she is in my care. You have my word, Haruno-san, Naruto said, and Mabuki widened her eyes. Everyone glanced to the two blonde and Mabuki found herself silent before she just turned around and left. Naruto watched her leave before he left as well. Naruto met up with Sarutobi as the two roamed across the halls. Well, that was something, wasn't it? Sarutobi asked, and Naruto quickly pulled out a book. I suppose so. I appreciate your aid, Naruto said while Sarutobi chuckled. Appreciated enough to be a full-time blacksmith? Sarutobi asked, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. No, Naruto said, and Sarutobi sighed. It was worth a shot, he figured. Sarutobi opened his door as he noticed that Kumo had indeed arrived. Thank you for meeting with us, Hokage-sama, they said with a bow while Naruto observed them. There were 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman. The first male was bald with the standard Kumo shinobi attire. The only thing Naruto noted was his sunglasses. The second male was rather young with brown hair and black eyes, just like a certain Uchiha's. Just like the other male, he had the standard Kumo attire, but his had not sleeves attached. Naruto didn't pay him much mind. Must have been a recent Chunin or Jonin. He looked just a little jumpy for some reason. That left the female of the trio, which Naruto observed. She was a dark-skinned young woman with green eyes. She wore very formal attire consisting of a long-sleeved, high-collared dress shirt and skirt, along with a pair of long earrings and sandals. She wore her light gray hair pulled back into a bun with 2 bangs that fell on either side of her face. If Naruto had to form an opinion, then she seemed to be just like any other woman that he met, though with something of a mature feeling added to her presence. Forgive my lateness. Welcome to Konoha. To whom, from Kumo, am I addressing? Sarutobi asked while Naruto quickly made himself invisible and leaned against the wall, continuing to read his book. He could feel Rinko, Tuka, and Fu shuffle to accommodate the space since it was just a little tight, but they had no real complaints. Hi Hokage-sama, to my left is Jei-san. The next is Amai-san. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Mabuki, the silver-haired woman said. Naruto raised his eyebrows slightly at the mention of their names, but didn't comment on it. He didn't have to. Well, I am thankful that the Raikage wishes to extend goodwill to Konoha. I do believe we got on a bad start last time, Sarutobi said, and Mabuki agreed quickly. Hi, concerning these things, Raikage-sama wishes for the treaty with Konoha and apologizes for his shinobi's behavior at the last meeting. Mabuki spoke and Sarutobi offered a friendly smile. Both of us were in the wrong, which is why we must remain steadfast to improve relations. You must be tired from your journey. Would you like to rest first and we continue this conversation later? Sarutobi asked, and all 3 bowed. Mabuki, I am a little tired. Mind if I go to the hotel? Amai asked, and Mabuki heaved a short sigh. Very well, Amai-san. Jei-san can go with you. I will stay here and speak with Hokage-sama, Mabuki said while Amai and Jei nodded quickly. Very well, Jei said, and Sarutobi quickly turned his head. Genin Uzumaki, I'm sorry to cut your break short, but I would like for you to escort Amai-san and Jei-san to their hotel, Sarutobi said as Amai, Jei and Mabuki turned around to see Naruto lean off the wall. He quickly lowered his book, not by much, but enough to have his face seen. Mabui and Naruto locked eyes for a second, and just a second, as Naruto broke the stare. He seemed to be searching for something, but maybe he didn't find anything. Turning around, Naruto spoke. Mission acknowledged, Hokage-sama. Please follow me, Naruto said as Amai and Ji followed him out of the office. Meanwhile, Mabui turned around back to the Hokage and arched an eyebrow. That is a strange genin that you have. Just from looking in his eyes I see wisdom above his age. An interesting sight, Mabui said, causing Sarutobi to narrow his eyes slightly, but he masked it very well. Uzumaki-kun is very special, Sarutobi said, letting that hand in the air for Mabui to believe. Whatever? With Naruto. The walk through the village had been uneventful, as Naruto never said a word to either Kumo or Shinobi. Likewise, they didn't try to seek conversation with the blonde either, and that was something that Naruto was slightly grateful for. He had too much on his mind at the moment, and he needed to get back to Sakura and Anko. Kami knows what she was doing to her at the moment. Coming up to the designated hotel, Naruto quickly stood next to it. This will be your hotel for the rest of your stay in Konoha. I wish you the best, Naruto said as he turned around and walked away. Strange kid. Didn't you see it, Amai? Ji asked while Amai raised an eyebrow. See what? Amai asked, and Ji sighed before he turned around to look at Amai's face. That kid. Never once did he take his eyes off his book, Ji said, and Amai raised an eyebrow. What's the problem with that? He asked, and Ji's sweat dropped. He then facepalmed and sighed. I'm saying, do you see how populated these streets are? Ji asked, and Amai looked around at the tons of people in the streets talking to each other, and walking up and down the roads. The children playing in the streets, the adults talking, and the sounds of animals were all clear in Amai's ears before he turned around back to Ji. We had to say excuse me to too many people when on our way here, but that kid, he didn't want. He flowed through the crowd of people and he never touched anyone once. Amai, that is one hell of a kid, Ji said while Amai widened his eyes. They turned their heads back to the place where Naruto was supposed to be, but they found him gone already. Both blinked before a slight shiver crept up their spines. With Naruto. Meanwhile, having left his 10-minute mission behind, and accomplished, Naruto quickly made his way back to his house. He entered the forest of death and quickly rushed past the trees. It was then that Naruto could hear talking at the back of his house. He narrowed his eyes and dropped to the ground quickly, then unzipped his jacket. Rinko, Tuka, and Fu dropped to the ground and stretched their bodies before rushing off into the house. Naruto walked through the door, and he quickly noticed the clean dishes and his semi-finished, cold breakfast. The blonde gave an involuntary twitch of his eyebrow and shook his head. He hated it when he was forced to not eat food that he cooked. Sighing to himself, Naruto took his plates, placed them in plastic wrap, and then put it in the fridge for tomorrow's breakfast. He then quickly walked out of the back porch and noticed Sakura huffing with Anko smirking. Is that the best you've got, Gaki? Anko asked with a snicker while Sakura growled. I'll hit you one of these days. Damn it, she's so slippery, Sakura said while Anko chuckled. Her eyes then darted to the left as she noticed Naruto. Yo, Foxy-kun, you're back. Did you have fun at the Hokage mansion? Anko asked, and Sakura quickly turned around to see Naruto watching them. He raised an eyebrow at Sakura's state before turning to address Anko's question. Define fun, Anko-san, Naruto said before turning towards Sakura. How long have you been sparring? Naruto asked, and Sakura scratched her cheek. Since you left. Which is about 3 hours? I just took my 2 bottles of milk and we were getting ready to have lunch, which we were slightly nervous because we didn't want to go through your things, Sakura said while Anko laughed outright. Speak for yourself, Pinky. I've already cooked at his house. Why, I remember it like it was yesterday, Anko said with a smirk while Naruto rolled his eyes. Very well. Have your lunch. Later today we will work on your jutsu and the jutsu theory, and that will be the end for today, Naruto said, getting Sakura to nod as she went back into the house. Anko quickly took this time to get next to Naruto and then glared. I don't know what taijutsu you're teaching her, but damn it if it isn't annoying. Good thing I'm flexible, or more than half her hits would have landed on me, Anko said while Naruto grunted a response. So the entire day went on like that as Anko had to leave for her work at the TNI department, leaving Naruto to train Sakura at his leisure. His training was rather unorthodox, but Sakura didn't complain about it. By the end of the day she was really squirming against the ground. Especially when Naruto guided her through the forest of death in an attempt to teach her the edible foods and animals that would be found there. Sakura also learned about accessing her chakra from one part of her body and quickly redirecting it to another. It was a hard skill and one that she wouldn't learn for a few weeks or months. Once night had fallen, Sakura had quickly eaten her dinner and her strawberries, then fell asleep those 3 hours later entirely exhausted, but Naruto wasn't finished with what he had to do and left the house. The blonde had entered into the streets with one of his books still in his hands. He had a small destination in mind, one that he had nearly forgotten about at least 3 times. He blamed himself for that, as it was late the time that he had done it, and he had to remind himself several times to do this. Only now was he given the time to do that. Quickly leaving the shopping district, Naruto came into the red light district. Honestly, the sights that the blonde had seen all his life had rarely been enticing to him. He never cared for it, but he couldn't have said that when he was younger. He could hear the murmurings of some of the local brothel men and women. It wasn't the usual murmurings of hatred, but of respect. After all, these people knew the blonde by heart. He was the red light district's strongest gambler, though the last time he gambled was with Anko, since she all but dragged him to the place. He hadn't done a gamble in those types of things for a good long while before meeting Anko. In fact, he hadn't done a lot of things before meeting the purple-haired snake mistress. Why did she always have to bother him? Why was he agreed to allow her to come into his house? He never did these things before. Why did her smiling at him get him uneasy? He had managed to hide it very well from Sakura, and even Anko herself, but why was it that he kept thinking back to her in separate occasions? This was unsettling. However, as he had read in his books or from the romance novels he had read then, it was under the assumption that he was beginning to warm up to her. Naruto found the idea rather absurd, but as he thought about it his heart slowly started to beat. Think of something else. Naruto shook his head and groaned to himself before he looked up at where he wanted to be. The abandoned house of Roshiki Daruma, formerly known as Lucky Rashi, before Naruto disposed of the man. Naruto quickly unsealed a pair of keys and placed them in the lock. He twisted it and the door creaked open. It was dark, but that was to be expected. Naruto focused his eyes and flipped the light switch. They hadn't cut the power yet, so Naruto was grateful for that. He could see that things really had collected dust in those few months, but what could he do about it? Naruto shook his head, but everything was as it had probably been left, especially since Naruto killed Roshiki, preventing him from taking anything from his mansion-like house. It was much bigger than Naruto's, but the blonde preferred the simple things to the extravagant. He could see the living room filled with shiny objects. Things like vases, stone dragons, a fancy red and gold carpet, leather chairs of the same design, and even plastered on the walls were 2 long katana, not for battle, but for decoration. Naruto quickly took one and unsheathed it. Its metal shined against the ceiling light before Naruto sheathed it back. He placed it back on its holder and entered into the kitchen. It was a very large kitchen, easily able to fit twice the amount of Naruto's kitchen and dining room. The counters were dressed in black fancy stone with a black fridge and silverish sink. Naruto opened all the cabinets and noticed lots of pots, pans, fancy cups, not so fancy cups, plates, and the other essentials that he could see. Naruto then opened the fridge to see tons of moldy food. He raised an eyebrow before he quickly ordered a fire clone to take out the food and burn it upon exploding, which the clone acknowledged while he came into the entertainment area, or at least that's what he figured it was. Also defining entertainment meant the love room. A large bed and mattress set with black linen sheets. It had been cleaned only those months ago before Roshiki's death, but Naruto didn't care about it. He shook his head and then left that room. He entered into another hallway and noticed dozens of rooms, more than likely the man's followers and servants. Walking through, Naruto could smell the food burning out back and then made his way up the nice stairs. They formed a spiral and took Naruto to the top where he could see other rooms. Nice-looking bathrooms, closets filled to the brim with not only male clothes, but female clothing as well. Naruto could see that some of them had the design logo for Ayano's company, though Naruto paid it little mind. And finally Roshiki's room. Of course the man would have the most fancy room. He even had his own vault in the room. It wasn't as big as the one Gato had, but having a vault at all was just asinine. All in all, this estate had loads of potential, but for what Naruto wasn't sure. It wasn't like he needed to use this house for anything specifically. It was his, he didn't have to do anything with it, but wasting such a thing would be ill-advised. Maybe he would just have to sleep on it. Exiting the house, Naruto turned off the lights and closed the door. He silently sighed to himself, and quickly began to walk away from the estate. However, he didn't get far as he heard the tapping of heels against the hard ground. He looked up and noticed the woman from the Hokage mansion, Mabui. She was looking left and right in confusion. She was rubbing her head in a slightly frantic manner. Naruto shook his head slightly before sighing. It wouldn't do well if he left Kumo's representative to continue being lost. Those the way she seemed situated, she wasn't the type who got lost very often. Mabui-san. Mabui gasped and turned her head to Naruto. Naruto looking at her. You're Naruto Uzumaki-san from earlier. Oh, thank goodness. Could you please direct me towards my hotel? I had stayed at the Hokage mansion too long and well. Mabui lightly blushed in embarrassment. This village is very different when it's dark, she said, and Naruto didn't hold that against her at all. I see. You had not thought to plan this out beforehand? Naruto asked, and Mabui looked down. I had not. A lapse in judgment on my part, Naruto-san. I am sorry, Mabui said while Naruto raised an eyebrow. He then shook his head and lowered his book. Please follow me, Mabui-san, Naruto said, and Mabui nodded as they began to walk off. While they did so, Mabui took in the sights for the first time. Due to her being at the Hokage mansion, and then her frantic searching, then she never had the time to truly do this. The village lights really did look very beautiful at nighttime. Also during this time, Mabui took the chance to observe Naruto. She hadn't had the time as there were important issues, but now that she saw him, he was a spitting image of that man. Mabui had only seen him once, and that was in the bingo book. The likeness was uncanny. Curiosity piquing her, Mabui blinked at the book he was reading. So what are you reading, Naruto-san? It looks very mature for your age, Mabui said, and Naruto shifted his head to glance at her before giving her the book. Mabui took it gratefully and looked at the title. Tales of the Eternal Whirlpools? Mabui asked as she opened the book and flipped through its pages. Drama book. That was a definite. I didn't think that young people your age were interested in reading these things, Mabui said, handing the book back to Naruto. Reading something has very little to do with age. It's just that young people are far too excited and their attention span is already dwindling. They can't focus on just one thing. While that has its applications, more often than not it is a hindrance. I've just learned to appreciate the peace that comes with reading, Naruto said, and Mabui understood that. For her, very little compared to a good book in her hands when she was alone. So does Konoha have any good book? I think I'll buy some to read on the road back to Kumo, Mabui said while Naruto shrugged his shoulders. There is rarely such a thing as a bad book. It is all about a person's preference. However, if you like to read, then the bookstore 2 minutes from your hotel is an adequate place, Naruto responded. Mabui gave thankful nod as their trudging continued through the streets. So what is someone like you doing out this late? Mabui asked with a friendly smile. Naruto turned to her and raised an eyebrow. Someone like me? Naruto asked, slightly annoyed. Was there something wrong with him that he needed to have known to him? Realizing how she sounded, Mabui gasped and placed a hand over her mouth. Oh, forgive me, Naruto-san. I meant a young person. Surely your parents are worried about you being out at near midnight, Mabui said, and Naruto turned around. Fair reasoning, he figured. He only was out this late to check out the house. He was sure that if he waited till next morning that he would have forgotten about it. I do not have any parents, Naruto said in a neutral tone. Mabui slightly gasped and closed her eyes. Another slip-up on her part. This just wasn't her day, was it? Oh, I'm sorry. She seemed to be falling into a pattern of apologizes, and Naruto wasn't going to lie. He found it to be quite humorous since it got a small, unnoticeable smile out of him. Not necessary. I have long since accepted it. Besides, I know who they are. It's no big deal, Naruto said, and Mabui just nodded in relief. She then looked down at Naruto's hand. Oh my, she said, and Naruto turned to her. Something wrong? Naruto asked, and Mabui pointed to his hand. You do not have a partner, she said, and Naruto snorted. Is something wrong with that? Naruto asked, and Mabui blinked. No, I just found it strange. In Kumo, once you graduate, then you are required to have a partner by your first C-rank mission, Mabui said, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. I see. So that's why Kumo has the highest number of partners, but also the highest number of destroyed contracts, Naruto said, and Mabui chuckled. You know a lot. Not something we're proud of, she said, and Naruto looked at her right hand. Of course, each seal was different to the nations. Hers wasn't like his, but Naruto also remembered that strangely all seals were connected to each other. Even if he was Konoha and she was Kumo, because of their seals, even they could partner, but that wasn't something Naruto was sure he should get into. You do not have one either, Naruto told her, and Mabui sighed with a sad smile. Hi, I had 2 partners at different times in my life. The first was during my graduation. That didn't work out as my partner died. The other one, we had a falling out and we felt it was in each other's best interest if we stopped. So that is correct, I'm without a partner. Though most are hesitant to partner with the Raikage's assistant, Mabui said while Naruto turned to her. I was under the impression that the Fate Seal, when 2 were bound, then they are bound forever. How are you no longer this person's partner? Naruto asked inquisitively. Mabui then twitched slightly, something Naruto didn't miss before she cleared her throat. No doubt she was trying to excuse her error. Well, it's like they say. Any seal, if given the time, can be undone by the right person, Mabui said, smiling while Naruto turned his head back into his book, but he wasn't reading it. Now he had his own thought. I see, Naruto said, deciding that it would be wise to get off the topic and learn more about this woman before him by thinking back to her previous statement. Foolish thoughts, such things are by some people. Position is pointless when doing such things. If such is the lure it takes to stop someone from being willing to find a suitable partner, then they are inconsiderate. You seem like an interesting woman, very intelligent, upright, and confident. If people are using your status to hold themselves back, then that is their problem. It is not something that you must be concerned with, Naruto said, and Mabui looked at him in surprise. She felt her cheeks involuntarily flush slightly at those words, as it had been a long time since she had been complimented. Likewise, Naruto didn't know where those words came from, but they seemed right to say. Thank you, Naruto-san, Mabui said rather lowly, but Naruto heard her anyway. It is not an issue, Naruto said, and Mabui translated that as, you're welcome. It's not a problem. After a bit of talking and Mabui trying to familiarize herself with Naruto, she found him to be very interesting. She was slightly amazed that he could hold a conversation with her using big words that she was sure that average kids wouldn't be able to use. Mabui wished she could say that she got lots of those conversations in Kumo, but when your Raikage is a hothead, then you tend not to think that is possible. Overall, she rather found the walk comforting. Both came to Mabui's hotel and Naruto turned around. It bodes well for you to remember this in the future, Naruto said, and Mabui bowed. Well, I have you to thank for showing me the way, Naruto-san. I hope that we can meet again, Mabui said while Naruto turned around. I don't deny that we will meet again, Naruto said and began to walk away, but he felt Mabui touch his shoulder. He turned around and noticed her smile. Then for us to meet again, can I borrow a recommended book from you? Mabui asked, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? He asked, and Mabui cleared her throat. I wasn't able to bring some of the things I wanted with me, and I think a book is great when you want quiet. Is that a no? She asked, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. He slowly sighed to himself. What was going on here with him? Something was happening, and Naruto felt like he couldn't keep up. He felt his hand reach into his pouch and give Mabui one of his best books. This might be worth your time. Enjoy it, Naruto said, and Mabui nodded with a smile while the blonde rushed away. Mabui clutched the book and then went into the hotel with a single thought. A very interesting young man, she thought as she and Naruto disappeared to go to their own destinations. Hokage Mansion. Sarutobi gathered all the Jonin into the room and all stood together before their Hokage while Sarutobi smoked his pipe. The Chunin exams. They are in 2 months. Now is the time to start training your teams, but first I must make this announcement, Sarutobi said while the Jonin perked up quickly. What is it, Hokage-sama? A man named Genma asked while Sarutobi sighed. This is a very different Chunin exam than the earlier ones. For the first time in this exam, all 5 nations will be participating. Iwa, Suna, Kumo, and Kiri Shinobi are coming as well as the minor nations. We are sure to have at least 3 times as many competitors this time, Sarutobi said, getting murmurs from the others. Hee more brats to mess with, Anko thought to herself. But soon all talking stopped as Sarutobi raised his hand to silence them. Also, I will warn you all that you and your genin must be on your best behavior. The reason for this is because 3 daimyo are coming to watch the exams. Also, our biggest sponsor and supporter, Exodus Metals, is coming to watch, Sarutobi said while the Jonin gasped. 3 daimyo and Exodus? Didn't I hear that because of Team 7's efforts they took back Wave and the daughter of the country's bridge builder was running it? Another Jonin asked, and Sarutobi nodded. That's right. As it stands, Exodus is currently the lead in the weapons industry and the shipping industry. They are here to see that we are spending their money well, and our Chunin exams are to prove that to further more funding from them, Sarutobi said, and everyone nodded. Not many good things had happened before Exodus. They just needed one more family-owned business, and they would be set. So are there any recommendations? Sarutobi asked, and everyone looked to each other before 3 stepped forward. I, Asuma Sarutobi, recommend for the Chunin exams Ino Yamanaka, Chuji Akimichi, and Shikamaru Nara, he said. Hiruzen nodded, and then Kurenai stepped up. I, Kurenai Yuhi, recommend for the Chunin exams Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame, Kurenai said and stepped back. I, Kakashi Hataki, recommend for the Chunin exams Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Naruto Uzumaki, Kakashi said. Soon the muttering was heard while Sarutobi steeled his gaze. But if Kakashi wanted to, then he wouldn't hold it back. What are you all trying to destroy these kids? Asuma, Kurenai, and Kakashi turned to see Irika stepping forward. They are the current heads of their generation. This will make for good experience, Kakashi offered to him, and Irika shook his head. And if they die? What then? They aren't ready for the pressures that come with these exams, Irika reasoned while Asuma snorted. Then it's a good wake-up call. Get all those stupid shinobi fantasizes out of their heads. It will make for good experience, Asuma replied while Irika growled. Irika, these aren't you kids anymore. They are under our supervision and we can decide how we teach them, Kakashi said harshly while Irika smirked. Is that right, Kakashi? Then why, in a council meeting, was I told that one of your genin prefers to be taught by another genin instead of by her sensei? I don't think that says a lot about your teaching, Irika said while Kakashi frowned. Asuma and Kurenai glanced to each other while Anko snickered, knowing what he was talking about. Irika, that is enough. You have overstepped your rights, Sarutobi said, and everyone was silent while Irika bowed. Hi, forgive me, Hokage-sama, Irika said while Hiruzen exhaled his smoke. Kakashi is right, Irika. They are his students, and what he says goes. Now if there is no more interruptions, then that concludes this meeting, Sarutobi said as he stood to his feet, while the Jonin began to walk out of the room. That was intense, wasn't it? Asuma asked, and Kurenai. Yes, but I wonder what Irika-san was talking about. What did he mean when he questioned Kakashi's abilities at teaching? Kurenai asked rhetorically, but Asuma just shook his head that he didn't know. It was too much to think about, besides they couldn't deal with it anyway. The Chunin exams were coming, and now was the time to get things in working order. No doubt this one would be interesting to say the least. That's it for part 7. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.